So I would like to ask you to kindly take your seats now.
Alors, j'ai l'honneur
I have the honor to declare open this regular meeting of the Permanent Council convened to consider the items on the agenda, which is contained in document CP/OD 2561/25. I should like to submit it to the Council for consideration. In the absence of comments, we adopt it without amendment. Adopted. Item 2. With regard to agenda item 2 on the agenda, I'm pleased to formally welcome a distinguished colleague to this permanent council, the new permanent representative of Uruguay, Ambassador Edison Lanza, presented his credentials to the Secretary General on the 8th of August. Ambassador Lanza has more than 30 years of experience in the areas of public international law, human rights, freedom of expression, and government affairs. He holds a PhD in law and social sciences from the University of the Republic of Uruguay, complemented by advanced studies in criminal law, freedom of expression, and political theory. He has held senior positions in the public sector, international cooperation, and governance, where he led teams responsible for the implementation of transparency, access to public information, and personal data protection policies. From 2014 to 2020, he served as a special rapporteur on freedom of expression of the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights. In this role, he led regional monitoring and coordinated missions to protect fundamental freedoms, access to information, and the safety of journalists. He has also been involved in academia and civil society, founding and leading organizations to promote access to information and freedom of expression in Uruguay and Latin America. He is a well-known author and scholar who has published extensively on freedom of expression, internet governance, and jurisprudence when it comes to human rights. He received several distinctions with the prize of Chapultepec from the Inter-American Press Association and the Libro de Oro from the Uruguayan Book Chamber in recognition of his contributions in the field of freedoms and governance. Ambassador Lanza brings extensive experience in diplomacy, academia, civil society, and multilateral engagement. These experiences and qualifications should contribute significantly to the debates and work of the OAS, including the Permanent Council. Ambassador Lanza, let me formally welcome you to this Permanent Council of the OAS. You have the floor. Secretary General, representatives, permanent representatives all, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen alike, for me it's an honor to take the floor right now at this time to express, on behalf of Uruguay and on my own behalf, my sincerest thanks for this very warm welcome received here in the Permanent Council. And these days in the various bodies and groups in which I have participated for Uruguay, here in the Organization of American States. This is a very singular, unique space for political dialogue and cooperation amongst our countries and the peoples of the Americas, underscoring our shared values of democracy, respect for human rights, integral development, and hemispheric security. In this regard, then, Uruguay is committed to participate very actively and constructively in all of the dialogues in the organization, as it has done since the very foundation in 1948. Understanding and being present that the world and the region is significantly changing, and social and political processes have become very complex and volatile. These are some of the challenges that we have to grapple with in the region, and they can only be broached effectively and efficiently when we work together. And this means dialogue, negotiation in a changing chessboard and amongst governments with different political and ideological stripes, which has been our reality for many years now. We want our region and the OAS in particular, with the understanding that it cannot continue developing spasmodically. We need to have and be aligned. Things are more ephemeral and improbable. This is the role of the OAS, that's to say, to be a space of dialogue, meeting of the minds, and based on shared values always, but even over and above that, based on the legitimate emphases that each government is democratically elected. The organization has an enormous capital when it comes to instruments in international law, and this is mainly the ODEA, if you don't mind my quoting Latin, and this offers protection of democracy and human rights. When we look at the scourges of our time and the fight against organized crime, cybercrime, and of course, when it comes to promoting sustainable development, which is equal for all of us, for all of our peoples. Uruguay, of course, has no intention of reinventing the wheel or refounding the organization, but rather to make effective contributions when it comes to policies that improve the situation of our times without overlooking the historical wealth that we have. Bearing in mind the importance that we accord to this organization, Mr. Chairman, I said it to the Secretary General when I offered my credentials. We have come here to offer concrete aspects, and here we would like to reiterate our willingness to be the host of the 2027 General Assembly. And once again, I reiterate, I said this in a written note for my chairmanship of the CAJP. So to wrap it up then, I would like to reiterate our willingness to boost our efforts to make the OAS more transparent, closer to people, and be in a position to respond to the challenges of the hemisphere. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ambassador. Now I should like to give the floor to the coordinators with regional groups and to other delegations wishing to welcome the permanent representative of Uruguay. You have the floor, Colombia. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen alike, Secretary General, Assistant Secretary General as well. I would like to take the floor to express to His Excellency, Permanent Representative of Uruguay, Ambassador Lanza, our warmest welcome and the best as you carry out your responsibilities. Over the course of your very brilliant career, he has been a defender of freedom of expression and human rights, and that's where he worked for 2 complete terms as Special Rapporteur of the Inter-American Commission of Human Rights between 2014 and 2020. And as a lawyer, journalist, and academician committed to the promotion of human rights and access to public information. We understand and celebrate his credentials that were offered yesterday, Uruguay's commitment to the inter-American human rights system and the work of organizations here at the OAS, particularly the SIM, the Inter-American Institute for Children and Adolescents. There is no shadow of a doubt then that this commitment, this experience when it comes to democracy and human rights and freedom of expression will be valuable contributions to strengthen the organization's work and to together promote getting together, which will allow us to grapple with the hemispheric challenge that we have before us. His assignment as ambassador and permanent representative reflects Uruguay's commitment to multilateralism and to strengthening the values of the organization. Ambassador Lanza, once again, be welcome, and you can count on us to move ahead with cooperation and dialogue with sustainable solutions to benefit the peoples of the Americas. And it's a pleasure for this organization to have a person that brings together these sterling values and experience. And now, personally speaking, Mr. Chairman, let me say that really it's wonderful to be with my colleague again, with whom I've had the opportunity to work many times in the Human Rights Commission, and thus I know him very well. I really know his commitment with everything that has to do with the basic pillars of this organization. And we worked together for many, many months, and I know that with him we're going to have a loyal colleague who is absolutely wedded to these principles that this organization has built as of 1948 and since then. And given that, I'm very delighted, very, very delighted once again to reach out and to warmly welcome our colleague and to work with him, as we said yesterday, in the Inter-American Human Rights Commission. So once again, best of success. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much, Colombia. Canada, you have the floor. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of the delegation of Canada, I would like to warmly welcome our ambassador, Ambassador Lanza. We truly believe that he will make significant contributions to our decisions here in all the bodies of the organization, and particularly as regards the defense of rights of all people and freedom of expression. We know that he has vast sterling experience for many different years within the inter-American system. In English.
Is a strong relationship with Uruguay, with whom we share similar objectives and priorities at the OAS, including strengthening the organization's efforts to promote democracy and human rights. We are looking forward to working closely with Mr. Lanza. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Canada. Guatemala, you have the floor. Secretary General, Assistant Secretary General, Mr. Chairman, permanent representatives and delegates. The delegation of Guatemala is honored to most warmly welcome Ambassador Lanza, permanent representative of the Oriental Republic of Uruguay, to this organization. Ambassador Lanza has a well-recognized and far-reaching career, as has already been said, defending human rights, freedom of expression, democracy, and the rule of law in our hemisphere. His highlighted work as rapporteur for freedom of expression of the Inter-American Commission of Human Rights, his academic experience, and his line of thought, as well as his professional career as a litigator in the Inter-American system and university professor, are very valuable contributions that undoubtedly will enrich the deliberations and all the work that this permanent council does. Guatemala and Uruguay share interests and common values. We express our sincere thanks for the hospitality that was offered by the President of Guatemala, Mr. Arevalo, and the official visit to Montevideo, which reflects the friendship and closeness of our missions. We truly believe that with the presence of Ambassador Lanza in this forum, we will strengthen our ties of friendship and constructive dialogue, which will allow us to continue to make progress together in the democratic route of the Americas. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. Guatemala, Panama has the floor. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. It's an honor to be with you today on behalf of the Sub-Regional Group of Central America and the Dominican Republic to most warmly welcome His Excellency Ambassador Harrison Lanza, new permanent representative of the Oriental Republic of Uruguay to the Organization of American States. Receive from our delegations our brotherly love and the best wishes for success in this new responsibility that you're taking on, which we know you will fulfill with integrity, democratic commitment, and all kinds of service that has always characterized your countries and your own personal career. Uruguay has been, over the course of its history, a key actor in the defense of values that undergird this organization: democracy and respect for human rights, strengthening multilateralism, and the promotion of peace in our hemisphere. From the legacy of people that marked the American policies to leadership in human rights and social justice, Uruguay has known how to project a calm but firm voice, a constructive one, and one that has always been in solidarity. Mr. Ambassador, your professional career is an example of all of that. We know about your contribution to the defense of freedom of expression as Special Rapporteur for Freedom of Expression of the Commission of Human Rights, working for human rights all the time, and your commitment to strengthen and have more transparent and inclusive organizations and institutions. We truly believe that this experience will be a major contribution to this council and for all of the daily work that we do here in the OAS. For Central America, the dialogue with Uruguay has special value. It brings us together not only because of cultural and historical and human ties that bring us together as brothers of the Americas, but also we have a shared conviction that integration, respect for international law, and solid cooperation are the best tools to deal with the challenges that afflict our region in a global context and in a hemispheric one full of challenges, from the defense of democratic institutionality to sustainable development, management of climate change, migration, security, and the fight against inequalities. The Uruguayan voice has always been there on the side of consensus, full-fledged respect, peaceful settlements and solutions. And we know that with your representation, this path will be a fundamental path for this organization. Ambassador, the Central American family finds in you an example for democratic stability, respect for freedoms, and a building of consensuses. We truly believe that in you, we are going to have a close interlocutor, building bridges, and so that we have a stronger OAS and one that is closer to the needs of our peoples. From our sub-region, we reaffirm the willingness to work hand in hand with you, with your distinguished mission and the interests that we have in common. We truly believe that the values of dialogue, inclusion, and respect that your country embodies will be very beneficial for all of the dialogues that bring us together and for all of the actions that the OAS should promote when it comes to benefiting the region. On behalf of the group, then, from Central America and the Dominican Republic, we would like to warmly welcome you. And we are going to work together full of success, and rest assured that in our delegations, you will have our commitment and will be ready to fulfill all of the challenges in the hemisphere and all of the efforts made. We know that Uruguay will have a strong voice, and this will enrich the collective work that this organization does, remembering always that as member states, our strength lies in our unity and the ability to find together solutions for all of the common challenges that we have. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Panama.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The United States welcomes Ambassador Edison Lanza Rabato back to the House of the Americas and congratulates him on his appointment as permanent representative of the Oriental Republic of Uruguay. Uruguay has long been a valued and respected partner of the United States, and Ambassador Lanza's return to this organization comes at an important moment for both of our countries and for the hemisphere. We also recall the productive collaboration we enjoyed with Ambassador Lanza during his time as Special Rapporteur for Freedom of Expression at the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights. Chair, this week also marks a milestone as we celebrate Uruguay's bicentennial of independence, which the OAS General Assembly appropriately recognized in June. At the same time, the United States prepares to commemorate America 250 in 2026, both important reminders of our people's sacrifices to secure independence and protect liberty. In that spirit, we believe that Ambassador Lanza's arrival offers an opportunity to renew our shared commitment to democratic governance and the ability of sovereign nations to chart their own paths in accordance with the principles of the OAS Charter. As Jose Gervasio Artigas, the father of Uruguayan independence, reminded us, nada podemos esperar sino de nosotros mismos, a reminder that liberty and democratic progress must be advanced through our own collective efforts. We look forward to working closely with Ambassador Lanza in defense of democracy, security, and respect for the rule of law throughout the hemisphere. Welcome back to the Ambassador. Welcome back to the OAS Ambassador.
Thank you very much, United States. Grenada has the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, Secretary General, Assistant Secretary General, colleagues. My delegation being one of the several out of the CARICOM region who always warmly and callously welcome new representatives to sit with us at this floor, congratulates and welcomes sincerely Ambassador Edison Lozano Robato on his assumption of duties as the permanent representative of Uruguay to the OAS. We welcome you, sir, noting your unique background in human rights advocacy within the OAS itself, in your previous position as Special Rapporteur for Freedom of Expression of the IACH during a critical period 2014 to 2020. Your mandate, you worked there during that time to advance protections of the right and freedom of expression throughout the Americas through several important efforts. We note among these were of great importance the direct provision of training and for combating journalistic repression to judicial practitioners and officers in the Americas, and the release of the OAS guide to guarantee freedom of expression regarding deliberate disinformation in electoral contexts. Extremely important, and we note this. From this background within the OAS itself, it is evident that Ambassador Lanza, you will be able to contribute from your understanding of our mission greatly to the work that is ahead of us. In today's world, with new challenges to the missions and the pillars that we embark on bringing resolution for our people to, including that of human rights, from threat to journalistic independence as well, to cybersecurity implications for free speech online, we welcome you, Ambassador Lozano, the guidance that you would be able to assist in bringing to us, and the input with which we will be able to benefit during our upcoming period. Ambassador, as you assume this new office, our colleagues of the region, my delegation, all of our delegations, we wish to extend our full support to you as you settle down. We know that you would not need much since you have been here already, and look forward to working with you on our shared goals and priorities of delivering lasting security, development, and prosperity for the peoples of our Americas. Welcome, sir. Thank you, Chair.
Merci.
Thank you very much, Grenada. Mexico, you have the floor. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The delegation of Mexico would like to warmly welcome Ambassador Edson Lanza as permanent representative of the Oriental Republic of Uruguay to the OAS, a country with which Mexico has strong friendly ties for economic integration and cooperation, as well as other areas where we see eye to eye in national fora, respect and the promotion of human rights and the dignity of all people, and particularly the rights of women and vulnerable groups. Our countries believe in international law as the bedrock of relationships among states, and we're quite sure that we will continue to strengthen this within the framework of the OAS. Ambassador Lanza is a lawyer who knows the inter-American system very well, particularly the area of human rights. the knowledge of which will allow him to make substantial contributions all over the OAS, underscoring negotiation, dialogue, and respect of member states. And that is why my delegation supports his candidacy as chair of the CAJP. We would wish that his work honors foreign policy of his country, and Mexico and Uruguay strengthen inter-American multilateralism based on international law, the quest for peace, and the defense of all human rights for all people. The delegation of Mexico welcomes his arrival and defends and reaffirms its willingness to cooperate, to work hand in hand for the benefit of prosperity and dignity of all peoples of the Americas. We most warmly welcome you. Thank you very much, Mexico. I don't see any other requests for the floor. Thus, we would like to wish Ambassador Lanza the best of success in his role as permanent representative of Uruguay to this organization. Welcome. As a next item on the agenda, in accordance with Resolution 3039, and in response to its requests, which came from the General Assembly, I am pleased to greet the Secretary General, Mr. Albert Ramjan. I would like to offer him the floor to present his proposal entitled Towards a Haitian-led roadmap for stability and peace with regional and international support, in accordance with the aforementioned resolution. Mr. Secretary General, you have the floor.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Distinguished permanent representatives, distinguished delegates, permanent observers, dear colleagues, we, as the chair has stated, in compliance with the resolution adopted at the General Assembly in Antigua and Barbuda on the 27th of June 2025, which was titled Calling for Concrete Solutions to be Brought to Bear as a Matter of Urgency to Resolve the Grave Security and Institutional Crisis in Haiti, in which mandates were provided to the Secretariat to prepare a roadmap. I am here today to present to you the second version of the roadmap as it stands now today. I want to say that earlier on I had indicated the importance Haiti, for reasons already given and discussed, requires the fullest, the highest attention of this organization in support of the people of Haiti. And based on that, we had already indicated even before that it would feature high on the agenda of this Secretariat. Now, this document which is presented, and the mandate has been presented on the screen. This document that has been presented to you is nothing more, nothing less than a stepping stone, an ongoing, evolving stepping stone towards a comprehensive framework focusing on addressing Haiti's immediate, so that is so short-term and long-term needs for stability and peace in partnership and with support of regional and international actors. I want to stress the point that Haitian leadership in this process is important. Out of that Haitian leadership will come Haitian commitment from the broad society. So I wanted to say this upfront. It's important to keep this in mind, that this is not an absolute document, but it's a living document that will evolve given circumstances that appear or emerge in Haiti, in the OAS, in the international community, at the United Nations, which we have to take into account and then adjust the plans accordingly. So this is work in progress, and of course we are open to further refinement based on suggestions made already by several member states, and I would like to thank all member states, but also the institutions that have been involved in this work, including Haiti, CARICOM, and the institutions like the United Nations, the UN MSS mission, who is represented here today by their head, Ms. Marat Tekash, the IDB, PAHO, ICA, for their feedback. And I'm sure that feedback will come over the coming period frequently. We have, in this second version, we have taken on board as many suggestions as possible. Those which are not represented as yet is simply because of the timeline which we had in terms of translation, the deadlines for that, and the submission to the Permanent Council. So I want to ask your indulgence that in version 3, which will come very quickly, those will be incorporated. The United Nations has made also very valuable comments. We know that there is a process ongoing in the United States, in the United Nations, where possibly in the coming 3 months we'll have to have further discussions on roles and responsibility. And I'll come back to that shortly. So, Mr. Chairman, this is what I wanted to say before I go into the substantive areas. Although I must say, all of you have received the documents. I'm going to be very high level because you have scrutinized it, you have provided comments. So based on that, I know that you have taken it serious. So I don't need to go into the details of it. But I have also said from the beginning that details will follow after this meeting. Once it is the marching orders for the Secretariat to work with this as a basic document, then we need to follow up with many, many meetings in every single pillar with different stakeholders to identify in what form we can incorporate their contribution in a very integrated way without duplication. So if we go to the next slide, which basically is the framework of thought here, this document is not a prescription. That is in collaboration with all stakeholders. This is owned by all stakeholders, and it is not prescriptive. It is not meant to be telling others what to do, but it's based on a logical framework. Let me also stress, and this has been also your comments, security first is indeed true. The level of security, the level of public security needs to be priority number one, and we have taken that on board. It was also always priority number one, but it doesn't mean, and we have heard this also as feedback from member states, that we do not do anything else. We need to be able to work on some other elements while security is being addressed. I want to stress the point that this is really a collective approach. This requires everybody to be on board because it's a shared responsibility going to the heart of the OAS as it exists in terms of democracy, in terms of sustainability, of governance, good governance, in terms of development and security. So I hope that everybody is on the same page when I say that no single actor or donor can solve the crisis alone. It will require all of us to work together based on our specific capabilities and commitment which we can bring to the table. I must also say that means also that we cannot expect that the funding, the financing, and let me put it in more general terms, the support to Haiti in terms of financing, technical expertise, in terms of in-kind support, that has to come only from one or a few countries. It must be a collective effort of the whole hemisphere. I speak for the whole hemisphere in this sense, but of course globally there are committed partners as well. But speaking for the hemisphere, it must be a committed effort throughout the hemisphere. It cannot be that one or two countries alone provide the assistance which is going to be required. So I count on that commitment from member states. If we go to the next slide, and we will share these slides with you so that in case you need to present this to headquarters, you can share this as well. Now, I know that one element has been referred to by many member states, and that is to understand better the roles and responsibilities. And again, this is going to be an evolving process depending on how institutional arrangements that exist, including the MSS, including the possibility of an adoption of a new resolution on Haiti at the United Nations, roles and responsibilities will evolve. With the same players, but in different capacities, and some with more expanded mandates, some with less prominence in the process. We will see how that evolves. We don't know as yet. But for now, as it stands, these are the three entities which we call the tripartite coordinating mechanism. And let me be clear as well, as it further develops, and I've communicated this to member states, Mr. Chair, this group that will coordinate once we go into the implementation phase will expand to include member states, to include Haiti, to include other institutions that can play a critical role with specialized capabilities. The World Food Program, in terms of humanitarian assistance, has the capabilities, understands what needs to be done. We can bring them on board as well through the United Nations. But for now, for the OAS, I think one of the key deficiencies, not on purpose, but as it has grown, is the lack of coordination in terms of the support to be provided. And that regrettably hampers effectiveness of existing aid, existing support, also within the inter-American system, also within the OAS. We have seen that already. Information flow is limited. We do not know what others do, but there is need for more effective coordination in a transparent manner. That means also, and I'll come back to this, providing all the information which we have on a dashboard which will be available to all member states, anybody who can then click and see interactively what is being done in which area, in which region of Haiti, so that member states can pinpoint exactly what they can do more and where. So coordination in the first instance in the inter-American system. The coordination role will also be, of course, with CARICOM and with the United Nations. But as we speak for the hemisphere, it will be through the OAS. We will facilitate as much as can be political support. We have added this point about facilitation because beyond that we can't go. We do not have a mandate for peacekeeping operations to manage, but we can do a lot in the context of facilitating that process. And later on you'll see some specific aspects of that. Mobilization of political support and resources, that is what will happen after we have your okay to continue with this process. Now the Caribbean community, where Haiti is part of, plays a critical role. And they have done already a lot of good work in terms of political facilitation with Haitian stakeholders. Whether that needs to be expanded or not, that is up for discussion. That will be done in close cooperation with the Haitian authorities, with the Transitional Presidential Council, with the Prime Minister's Office. Engagement with Haitian stakeholders is important in the context of one of the issues that we need to deal with, and that is the expiration of the term in office of the Transitional Presidential Council's mandate early February next year. So we need to see what will come after, because this is not a plan for 6 months only. This is far longer. So that is a political issue. We believe that CARICOM can be very helpful, and with the support of both the OAS and the UN. And we look forward to the guidance with their experience on the engagement process. For the United Nations, the peacekeeping mandate remains within the remit of the United Nations Security Council. Again, as I said, the possibility of a resolution to fine-tune how that is going to work in the future, I hope that that will be brought to the table of the UNSC very quickly. The global political support to be mobilized, as I said, is not only the Western Hemisphere, although we need to play a critical role. It's also one of the roles of the United Nations. The role of the Haiti Working Group within the UN, led by Ambassador Bob Ray of Canada, is important to mobilize also information, but also analysis and future direction and ongoing technical assistance. Now, I must say, throughout all of this, this is a plan, but already a lot is happening. A lot is being done already. So let us not forget that Haiti is receiving assistance from several institutions, several member states, and I want to thank the member states and the institutions for that. There are very useful elements and initiatives. What we are looking forward to now is how do we coordinate better, build synergies, and make sure that the impact to the Haitian people is felt. So this is, at this point, how we see the roles and responsibilities in an evolving process. If we go to the next slide, the 5 pillars. As I said, I'm not going to go in detail here, but these 5 pillars have been outlined on several occasions. I think the takeaway here should be we can easily put more aspects, more elements to the 5 pillars. And that is fine. As time continues, it will happen. Because if we improve a little bit the health situation, then the focus will become on other aspects of health security. But first step, security, stabilization, and peace restoration. That's going to be throughout the plan an ongoing issue. There are a couple of things there which I want to highlight, and we're going to have some follow-up meetings this week. The key thing here is that we, and this is very high level, that we strengthen the capabilities in Haiti with the Haitian law enforcement agencies so that in the future they can continue to take care in a sustainable manner the public safety and public security, so that we don't need to always intervene in that process or support that process. But that will require a long-term approach in terms of training, equipment, the different operating bases, of which some are functioning with support of Canada, but it's not enough at the moment. So we will need to work towards a plan, because the plan is not to just provide assistance, but to leave something behind where Haiti can continue building on towards a sustainable future. And in terms of security stabilization and peace restoration, the key thing is to strengthen Haitian law enforcement authorities and agencies in such a way that as time progresses, they can take care of their own security situation. Now, there is one specific element, I believe, where international coordination will be important, because I can go into details operationally, and the MSS will make some presentations next week in the Group of Friends meeting, so I'll wait for that. But the issue of maritime security is critical in terms of port access, port security, the import, illegal trafficking in firearms, which furnishes the Haitian gangs, but also the issue of illegal drugs, possibly, and international organized crime. I'm not saying that they are there, but these are often the weak positions which they are looking for in several countries. So maritime security requires coordinated international response. And specifically on that, we will speak next week, this week also in the context of CARICOM, but also in the context of the existing mechanisms of several countries, European countries, Spain, the Netherlands, who have operational outfits in the Caribbean, and see how we can mobilize those within the region, within Haiti. I think that will cut off a source of effectiveness to the gangs, but the sooner that starts, the better, and it creates a more safer port management as well as road security to make especially the road from the port to the airport of Port-au-Prince is critically important. At this point, it is controlled by the gangs. So we need to make sure that it's free and there is safe passage. So slowly, we'll have to go to step by step improving the security. That's just one example of an element that fits within a more stable and sustained security environment. But at the same time, as I mentioned before, we need to work on two other issues. One is the political consensus and governance support in the context also of the expiration of the mandate of the TPC. And part of this process will be to find consensus, possibly with international Haitian civil society organizations and diaspora as well, with their input, a consensus agenda going forward. A governance issue, a political agenda, constitutional reform, focusing on the critical areas where assistance is needed. So there's a lot of work to be done there. We see for CARICOM a particular role, together with member states who are willing to support the process and engage. Again, this is a particular issue where we will speak next week when the group of the tripartite coordinating mechanism will meet here. Out of that process will need to come an election preparation so that we have a legitimate government in place and a legitimate parliament who can govern with support of the international community, with support of an agreed consensus agenda going forward. But that will not happen on the short term. That will take some time before we come there, because there are several steps. The OAS has capabilities to support that process. Mr. Chairman, we are ready to do that through the Secretariat for Security, Secretariat for Democracy, and DECO, but we'll have to wait on this process to mature a little bit more. Now, in terms of humanitarian response, apart from identifying exactly what kind of response is required, not only short-term needs, emergency supplies, but also in terms of health care and education to provide humanitarian assistance. The more young adults are taken off the street and put in schools, the less they become vulnerable to become part of the gangs and their actions. Because we see that many young Haitians are given a gun and stand then in the front lines of gangs. The real culprits are not seen then. But that will depend on the security environment and the ability to distribute assistance in an effective manner. Effective manner in this case is simply if assistance is provided, when assistance is provided, it needs to arrive well. It's no leakage at the port. It must be transported safely to those who are in need of those, and it will, so that it benefits the displaced persons, the youth, and those in need of healthcare. And on the healthcare, PAHO had done a great job last time at the first meeting of the group of friends to very vividly illustrate the gravity of the situation in terms of healthcare. And a lot more will be needed in terms of healthcare, with many hospitals not functioning. One of the last ones still under threat recently. So we have a lot of work to do in terms of humanitarian assistance in the broader context. It's not just food, water, and nutrition. It's much more than that. Once we have an election and a legitimate government, I think the key thing will be to sustain governance in a stable manner, and for that we will need sustainable development and economic progress. That can happen now already in the areas where these things can happen. It's not that the whole country is locked down. And it's happening already. The Inter-American Development Bank and others are ready to engage. And the World Bank, they already indicated even the amounts which are available for that purpose. But we need to have that opportunity in Haiti itself to be able to focus on these issues. At this point, it's focusing on emergency crisis management. But at some point, there must be a time when institutions can focus on economic development and utilizing international support to improve the situation. If we go to the next slide. Now, this is particularly something which I wanted to share with you because this is really something within the OAS. And I mentioned this in the informal consultation several times already. As I mentioned, we have a coordinating group mechanism, the tripartite mechanism, OAS, UN, and CARICOM. It will be expanded once we start with the implementation and the further coordination. That is ongoing. We hope to have our second meeting in person. The first one was virtual here in Washington, hosted by the OAS next week, the 27th. I can tell you that we expect Ambassador Yenka, Assistant Secretary General of the UN, to join us on that day for several meetings, but certainly the coordinating mechanism and a group of friends. We are awaiting the final delegation from Haiti, but I expect a high-level delegation to be present at the group of friends meeting next week, as well as the EPG, the Eminent Persons Group of CARICOM, has already confirmed that they will be here, including high-level representation from the CARICOM Secretariat. So next week, 27th of August, Wednesday, we will have 3 to 4 meetings specifically, the whole day in fact, on Haiti, culminating in the Group of Friends meeting, which will start at 2 p.m. Once we go into the operational elements of execution of the Group of Friends, the Haiti roadmap, we have proposed to appoint a high-level special representative to carry out this task, both operationally as well as in terms of the political consultations to be held. High level because such a person with a high-level profile, political profile, must be respected and must be able to communicate with governments and the Haitian authorities, as well with the international community. And this is something which the Secretary General can do, but I think it's important to get your input on that as well. We have the Group of Friends of Haiti as a platform, as an informal platform where we can listen to each other. I like to be more practical, not only listen, but hear also the specific commitments once we have outlined those, and as already done in the Haiti roadmap. I think we had already mentioned that since a month now, we have the OAS Interdepartmental Working Group on Haiti, with several departments working together, cross-cutting throughout. And they have been very active and very engaged, very committed. And I want to take the opportunity to thank them for the hard work they have been doing. We may pull a bit too fast sometimes, but we want things to happen. But they have been putting extra hours into this and weekends to make all these processes happen. So I think it requires due respect and appreciation. Now, we have other interagency spaces, broader. As I mentioned, we will present also to the permanent observers, once it's approved, the roadmap on Haiti, because I think they can play a role in supporting this process. We will speak again more specifically with the Inter-American Institution and broaden that even to other specialized agencies. And we also intend to have a meeting with the different think tanks in Washington, D.C. to inform them about the process so that they have a better understanding about where we are going. That will happen Monday afternoon, and the coordinators of the regional groups in an extended form will also be informed Monday on the follow-up after the decision today. I look forward to engaging in this context because this is a high-level activity. I look forward to engaging with member states and possibly on Monday more in detail if this initiative, this roadmap, but also the commitment of the whole body does not require a status of a special mission. And we will talk about that. We have two special missions in the OAS, the one on MAP OEA in Colombia and Belize, Guatemala adjacency zone management structure as a special mission. I personally think that it is useful from a operational perspective to have in one box clearly all what is required to make this roadmap a success in a special mission with a special mission status. It elevates also for our partners elsewhere in the world and in the Americas how they should look at this and how relevant and important this is for the OAS. But I leave that discussion for the future, but I look forward to early engagement with member states on this specifically. Next slide. The roadmap and the timeline, as I said, that will not be one where we can be very specific, but this is very general. I apologize you can't read it well, but you have it in the document. There is a foundational part, a preparatory stage, which is taking place basically right now. So Q4 2025 starts soon, and once approved, that we can continue with this process, because there is a 30-day implementation period to start off this process. As you see, security remains key. The political consultative processes start immediately, and it's over a period of 24 to 36 months. It doesn't mean that we expect everything to be resolved in that period, but we need to put a certain time frame on this process. It could take longer, but we hope that after 36 months we can have a situation where security is reasonably under control, where the people of Haiti are reasonably assisted in terms of the humanitarian needs, where there is a governance structure which can build on and slowly strengthen itself towards the future, and that slowly our role becomes less, but still in support of Haiti going forward. As I said, depending on developments in Haiti, primarily this timeline will be different going forward, but this is what we work with. We need a first ID. And there will be other emerging priorities to be involved and to be included as well. Now, the last slide is something which everybody will look at because it talks about money and funding. This is estimated funds. I know there is a lot of questions. There were lots of questions with regard to the first part, which we, in the first one, where the feeling was that security was not getting enough attention, but we did not have the information on the different commitments made. Now we have that, and this gives you a different picture. In terms of security, stabilization, and peace restoration, many countries already contribute a lot in this effort. So this amount includes those commitments as well. I know that the United States and Canada are, I think, front runner in this regard. 1.3 billion is estimated going forward. That's the chunk of money. That's a lot of, it's more than 50%, which will be required, but it's an important exercise, and it's a very expensive exercise. Then we have the humanitarian response on the basis of the UN assessments. This is the call for humanitarian assistance. So we have copied that number there. The political consensus and governance support, and we are taking here a period of approximately 12 months to facilitate this process, 12 to 15 months, 8 million. Electoral process and institutional legitimacy on the basis of experience of the past, 104 million. The details I can provide you in all the things, the different things that need to be done. And the sustainable development and economic progress. This is a figure which the IDB president mentioned here the last time around, but if we include the World Bank's effort and the second phase of the IDB's intention and other sub-regional banks, we come closely to $1 billion in terms of commitments with regard to economic development. But that will depend on the implementation capabilities on the Haitian side as well. Now, to manage this all, if there is a special mission and the cost thing also of a team that will be dedicated to the implementation, which must be led by a high-level special representative, over the full period of 3 years, that will be approximately 10 million US. That includes several elements, and we have some details which we have indicated. So this is the framework, approximately 2.6 billion over the coming 36 months. Our next slide is just for your information. I mentioned, Mr. Chair, distinguished representative, that we must be transparent and providing all the information in terms of support to Haiti. So a dashboard is being prepared, and it will be interactive, it will be very specific, it will give information of all what is being done by country, by region, in which sectors, so that we can monitor that, we can develop that. Some of them will be live, so they will change on a daily basis. I hope that within 2-3 months we can complete this process, and we have that going live early January. It's a lot of work that goes into it in terms of developing this, but we are progressing well, and again, fully with internal capabilities. So we're not hiring any agency to do this for us. The next slides are outcomes which you will be able to monitor yourself, who is doing what. By the way, these figures are not real figures. These are just for purpose of, some of them are real, but most of them are just dummies for illustration purposes. If you go, those were the last two slides. Okay, so that is the presentation, Mr. Chairman, in compliance with the resolution. There is a plan. It's an evolving plan. There is budget. It reflects the regional commitments and certainly to Haiti's sovereignty. That's why we engage very closely and at all levels, at a high level, with the Haitian authorities. We are ready to provide coordination. I think we have done that before, so we have capabilities. We can provide specific support to the electoral process and a dialogue in support of CARICOM's leadership. But it's not going to be alone, the OAS. This will require many more agencies to be involved. I think the two things which will determine success is coordination and funding. We can make the best plans, but if it is not possible to execute, it doesn't take us anywhere. And again, I appeal to all member states to do their part where possible. And it's not only in providing finance, but it's also in technical expertise, in-kind support, and other ways of supporting the process. That is the presentation, Mr. Chairman, and I want to make sure that the membership, the permanent council, is always informed. So, although not part of the resolution, I believe it's important that we commit to reporting back in terms of the implementation, maybe every 2 months, so that we can provide you with an update about where we are and what the challenges are, if need be, more often. Once a special representative is appointed, that person can be in contact with the membership more often. But if we commit to report as secretariat to the membership, I think every 2 months seems to be a reasonable time. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much, distinguished ambassadors.
Merci, Monsieur.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary General, for your presentation, and to the entire team of the General Secretariat for its participation in this process in response to the mandate of the General Assembly. Before giving the floor to everybody and opening up the floor, I'd like to invite the delegation of Haiti to begin and kick off with some comments. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, Secretary General, Assistant Secretary General, permanent representatives, and ladies and gentlemen, representative of all the observer countries, ladies and gentlemen, together at the last General Assembly of the OAS, which was held in Antigua and Barbuda, the member states of the Hemispheric Organization adopted a resolution which is entitled Call for the Urgent Implementation of Concrete Solutions to Resolve the Grave Institutional and Security Crisis in Haiti. That resolution, in point of fact, asked the Secretary General of the OAS, in consultation with the government of Haiti, the BNU, and the MMAS, to draft in 45 days after the adoption of the resolution an overall all-encompassing plan of action concerning support from the OAS to Haiti. And as such, the resolution has asked the General Secretary for the global plan to submit that to the Council in 30 days after it was written. We would like to commend Secretary General Albert Rangel for drafting and presenting this first plan of action in the deadline, and we would like to have some non-exhaustive preliminary comments with regards to the general comprehensive plan. First, we take due note with certain satisfaction the fact that the plan is being presented not as a definitive document, but as a draft, a proposal entitled, quite rightly, Towards a Roadmap Governed by Haitians for Stability and Peace with Regional and International Support. I should like to underscore that this request for the roadmap by Haiti be governed by Haitis and put in action by Chancellor or Minister Jean-Victor Albert over the course of the last General Assembly has to be noted. And in the Secretary General's speech and the tete-a-tete, he insisted that the multifarious problems of Haiti should be first ironed out by Haitians. As such, then, the minister has underscored that the roadmap is a collective effort with a view to mobilizing resources aligned towards Haitian priorities. We're very happy to see that these efforts for alignment is in the draft proposed by the Secretary General. Nonetheless, the idea of a roadmap for Haiti and by Haitians is not an empty set of rhetoric. The roadmap has to be thought out in terms of its budget and underscore Haitian priorities. So from this standpoint, I would like to reiterate that for Haiti, the priority of priorities is part of a speech that I should like to give you, which was recently offered by the President of the Transitional Council, Mr. Saint-Cyr, and I quote, "Today, the voice of 12 million men and women raises up to ask for one thing: security. Thousands of families dream about reconstructing this, having a house, a roof over their head, thanks to one thing: security. Hundreds of companies, schools, universities, hospitals would like to serve, help others, open their doors, educate, all based on one thing: security. And for some 500,000 displaced children, often deprived of food, water, protection, education, and playtime, security is the key to hope, to learn, to grow up, and to flower. Security is not just an absolute priority, it is the fundamental pillar of all the other areas in this transition. Without it, all the rest will crumble. Constitutional reform, economic rebuilding, elections, all of that risks to be compromised. It is very difficult to do everything in transition where the climate is one of fear, violence, and instability." End quote. Mr. Chairman, Secretary General, my dear colleagues, ambassadors, and illustrious representatives, you have understood, in point of fact, that at the heart of all things that hard hit Haiti right now, security is an absolute sine qua non, and it is urgent. And therefore, the rest should not be overlooked either. And here's why. Over and above reestablishing security, the long-lasting, durable resolution of the multifarious crisis in Haiti requires a holistic, all-encompassing approach of social progress, political governance, and economic governance, which is undergirded by a humanitarian approach. All of that goes over and above just stabilization. Microphone, please, for the speaker. I think that you can continue now, Haiti. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. As the roadmap also indicates, beyond stability and security, we have to reinforce all kinds of governance throughout the country, particularly the political and economic governance, through consensus for looking at institutional legitimacy that has been reestablished. We also have to have a humanitarian, robust response, which is coupled with an economic and social development program. The Haitian government will take on something proposed to the OAS, which is a plan that has been agreed to with all of our regional partners, the roadmap. This will specifically mean order is a priority defined by Haitians and for Haitians, and alignment of all the activities of the overall plan, and consultation, that is to say, tete-a-tete with the OAS and other partners for the roadmap, and a proposal for implementing the plan in all of its operational aspects from the standpoint of shoring up Haitian national institutions over the medium and long term, and the proposal for having resources allocated in keeping with priorities defined by Haitians. Once again, Mr. Secretary General, thank you. Thank you very much for the first day of hearing about this very useful document. It's going to require a true effort of coordination with everyone, but I truly believe that we can be successful together. Mr. Secretary General, we recognize your closest to Haiti, and the proof of that is that you have been to Haiti dozens of times, and I think that you have been to Haiti at least 153 times, hundreds of times. I know you know this country, my country, Haiti, that has marked the path of freedom for all other countries in the region. We don't have any shadow of a doubt that you're going to help us. Nonetheless, we would like to do it and ask you to begin at the beginning. Thus, Mr. Secretary General, we have to begin. You have to begin by listening to us. You've got to listen to Haitian authorities. We've got to begin by listening to the Haitian people. That's our only way we can be successful together. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Haiti. Now I should like to give the floor to other delegations who wish to make comments on this point, reminding you that now we're going to use the speaking rule for comments with only 5 minutes. Thank you very much. Antigua and Barbuda, you have the floor.
Mr. Chairman, Antigua and Barbuda appreciates the Secretary General's leadership in bringing focus and structure to international support for Haiti, and the efforts of his team to consult and invite inputs from member states. It is in this context of the Secretary General's invitation that the delegation of Antigua and Barbuda offers this statement. We will always stand with the Haitian people, as do all OAS member states. We agree with the roadmap's premise. Support must be Haitian-led and nationally owned, linking emergency stabilization to structural reform. Assistance cannot substitute for sovereignty. We affirm the United Nations' lead on peace and security. The role of the OAS should be facilitative and technical within its mandates. We emphasize that for legitimacy and effectiveness, Haitian leadership must be authentic, visible, and accountable. Support cannot replace sovereignty. Ownership must be matched by decision authority. In this connection, we offer the following considerations in a constructive spirit to strengthen the roadmap and broaden consensus. On governance, Haitian-led must mean decision rights. We suggest 3 safeguards. First, chairing and concurrence. The government of Haiti should chair, or at a minimum, co-chair, the Coordinating Group Mechanism, CGM. No pillar work plan, budget, or major procurement should proceed without Haitian concurrence recorded in the CGM minutes within 7 to 10 days. Where urgent action is required, partners may act with post-action written notification by Haitian authorities as soon as is practicable, within 24 hours, 72 hours where feasible. Any OAS special representative should serve strictly as facilitator and coordinator without decision-making authority over Haitian priorities. Second, there should be a single plan of record. A Haitian-issued annual implementation plan endorsed by the competent Haitian authorities should guide partners' projects and disbursements. Haitians should never have to say that the plan was imposed on them. Third, public accountability. Haitian authorities should issue quarterly progress reports for the nation and the international community. Consultations should include structured input from Haitian civil society, the private sector, academia, and the diaspora, and written responses should be published. The scorecard should track not only security, governance, and humanitarian access, but also arms trafficking, interdiction, and financial sanctions enforcement against criminal networks, with relevant international partners reflected. We believe that these safeguards would turn Haitian-led efforts from words into decisions. Mr. Chairman, on CARICOM's role, we welcome the Secretary General's transmission of the document to the CARICOM pro tempore chair and would value continued briefings. At the same time, neither foreign ministers nor heads of governments of CARICOM have collectively reviewed or endorsed the specific role envisaged for CARICOM. We therefore request a formal presentation to CARICOM foreign ministers, heads of government at the earliest opportunity, with terms of reference that 1, provide Haitian ownership, 2, avoid duplication with the United Nations, and 3, respect CARICOM's existing good offices mandates through the Eminent Persons Group. Should CARICOM join the CGM, it will undoubtedly do so to reinforce Haitian consensus building. On the matter of financing, The ask is large, the fiscal space is small. Discipline is essential. The indicated 2.6 billion reflects the scale of Haiti's crisis, but it comes amidst global turbulence and tight fiscal space, especially for small economies. Consequently, we propose the following 4 approaches. 1. Predictable security support channeled through a UN-managed platform with clear, predictable modalities, drawing on voluntary bilateral contributions, not ad hoc fragmented pledges. 2. Pre-pledged humanitarian and elections packages should be sought before any broader donor conference. Any donor conference, ideally with the Inter-American Development Bank in the lead, should confirm.
Thank you, Antigua and Barbuda. Your comments and intervention can certainly be submitted in writing should we have not captured everything, so we appreciate your thoughtful intervention today. L'Argentine.
Argentina, you have the floor. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to greet the Secretary General, the Assistant Secretary General, and everybody here, all my colleagues. We have said that part of the relevance of the OAS in the future has to do with Haiti. And therefore, Mr. Chairman, I would like to recognize a couple of questions as a point of departure. The first is that the Secretary General, since he took on his responsibility, has taken on and shed light of the OAS on the situation in Haiti and continues with this commitment, having heard the roadmap presentation today, moving ahead with the mandate from the General Assembly established in Antigua and Barbuda. The second issue is that the roadmap recognizes in the new version and much more clearly the issue of security in Haiti is the precondition to be able to systemically have a successful plan in Haiti. And if you listen to the delegation of Haiti, I think that then there is no shadow of a doubt as to this priority. According to Argentina, Argentina hasn't given any written comments yet on the first version of the roadmap, although we did do so in the meeting that we had with the Secretary General and the Group of 10. I would like to offer some concerns in a very constructive way right now so that these are expressed in this meeting or when possible. In addition, we will send our comments in the next few days in writing. As to the operational area with regards to the estimate of the necessary funds for implementing the roadmap and some of our misgivings, we suggest, and I make this suggestion based on having a roadmap which is more solid from the standpoint of understanding it by all of the interested parties. It has to be very technically and logically very robust in terms of the pillars. This is clear. What are the technological and systematic pillars when we talk about budget issues? The second, along the same vein, identification of the sources of financing are not clear. And we obviously understand, and I imagine this should be clarified based on the next few meetings of the Group of Friends of Haiti. And then third, whilst we're mentioning a supervision or supervisory system, an accountability system, and one of evaluation, this system is not yet defined. And perhaps there are other suggestions, but it's a priority so that we have more security for the donors down the line. Fourth, we have a clear-cut idea that with the roadmap, there is the intention of having a systemic coordination process, but there are some doubts as to how the stakeholders that would eventually put in resources with this roadmap would be willing to delegate coordination to the OAS. This point, part of the historic process that many members of the Group of Friends of Haiti have drafts that they have implemented in Haiti for some time now, have looked at clearly with their own funds and in accordance with their own modus operandi. So the question is, are they willing to finance this roadmap, and to what extent they are willing to delegate this coordination when it comes to action headed up by the OAS, to have the will to suggest in this initiative and delegate what has to be done to the organization. Well, how is the Secretary General thinking about this? I would like to understand the rationale behind this issue, and particularly when we envisage, according to my understanding, that each donor is going to manage their own funds. And it's not going to be that the OAS is going to manage the funds that will come in with regard to the donors. So I think that this scenario is a little bit shady for me. I'd like to understand it better. And then lastly, I'd like to understand how the Secretary General envisages the decision-making process or the approval process for this roadmap. If we have a little bit more information as how you envisage this, how should we move this decision-making process ahead in terms of time and methods? Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
l'Argentine, les États-Unis.
Thank you very much, Argentina. United States, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The United States thanks Secretary General Ramdin and the OAS for its diligent work to develop the draft roadmap to promote peace and stability in Haiti. We welcome the urgency with which this roadmap was developed. As we have told the Secretary General, in Haiti, security must be the top priority. Without it, no other pillar can stand. The question before us is how the OAS member states and observers, alongside the Haitian government, will contribute to restoring a minimal level of security in the face of these threats Haiti faces from terrorists, organized criminals, insurgents, and gangs. We appreciate the Secretary General's commitment to listening to member states' feedback and reactions, and note the revised version is sharper in both structure and intent, explicitly establishing security as the enabling condition for everything else. In particular, the deployment of the Haitian National Police and their adequate training and being adequately equipped, and the deployment of international security forces to regain territorial control and secure key corridors is recognized as essential for immediate stabilization, a prerequisite for elections and the broad provision of humanitarian assistance, as well as the resumption of basic day-to-day activities, like getting kids off to school and parents back to work. With respect to the MSS mission, the United States thanks Kenya for its dedication, leadership, and support for the last year. Kenya answered Haiti's call at a critical moment, demonstrating enormous compassion and courage, putting its people in harm's way with thousands of miles from home, and preventing a complete collapse of the Haitian state. We would also like to thank the Bahamas, El Salvador, Belize, Guatemala, and Jamaica for contributing personnel towards this effort, and to Canada for their stable contribution to the UN Trust Fund and planning efforts. As we look to combat the threat of terrorist gangs looking to topple the state, we must ensure that an even greater share of the international community is invested in the fight. This is why the United States, alongside Panama, will seek authorization of a UN support office to properly resource this effort. Should the UN Security Council pursue this model, then we will also seek robust regional participation to provide strategic leadership of the force. We note the next international force must be resourced to hold territory, secure infrastructure, and complement the Haitian National Police. In parallel, a comprehensive approach is required to disrupt gang financing, arms trafficking, and other illicit flows, fueling instability. Returning to the roadmap, we welcome the improvements to the roadmap's budget architecture, which now identifies who will convene donors, how existing commitments will be mapped, and how resources will be aligned with Haitian priorities. While we welcome the clarification that the figures provided represent needs rather than the budget, we note that security pillar remains, in our view, underfunded. We want to stress that there is an immediate need for surge hiring and training and equipping of Haitian National Police alongside sustainable reforms. As Secretary Ramdin stressed today, we must be clear-eyed on the need to ensure a fully operational Haitian National Police is in place that is sufficiently equipped to fill the vacuum that international forces will leave once they depart Haiti. The roadmap should also clarify who will act if Haitian institutions are unable and define how the OAS will convene and align multilateral efforts. A clear resource mobilization strategy is essential, with prioritization if funding falls short. On the political front, we underscore the importance of Haitian-led dialogue and the responsibility of Haitian actors to drive the process towards restoring democratic governance. Haiti's transitional government mandate expires on February 7th, 2026. We expect the Transitional Presidential Council to fulfill its mandate to make meaningful progress towards securing the country and to prepare for elections. And on elections, we recognize that the OAS plays a vital role through technical assistance to electoral institutions and, of course, as security conditions allow. We welcome the stronger integration of respect of human rights in the draft and its reaffirmation of the commitments to the OAS Charter, the Inter-American Democratic Charter, and the Inter-American instruments that guide our collective efforts to strengthen democracy and human rights in the Americas. We underscore the strengthened role of the OAS, not as one actor among many, but as a facilitator, convener, and coordinator of hemispheric support. A follow-up mechanism with regularly reporting to the Permanent Council is vital for accountability and can help galvanize the hemisphere on shared priorities. The United States looks forward to continuing the important conversation and working with all partners towards a more stable, democratic, and secure Haiti. Thank you.
Merci.
Thank you to the U.S. Colombia has the floor. Thank you, Chair. The Colombian delegation would also like to express its appreciation for the roadmap for Haiti by the Secretary General. This is a roadmap that is fully aligned with the calls and commitments that were established during the most recent General Assembly and the resolution adopted in 2025, supported by my country. The guiding principles, the general approach, and the 5 pillars of the proposal reflect a shared vision with a position that Colombia has expressed, both in the Special Advisory Group on Haiti, as well as with the OAS Working Group, that are consistent with our commitment for restoring institutional frameworks and supporting the sustainable development of that nation, working together with the roadmap that Colombia has also supported. In the area of security, we have offered to train 1,000 citizens from Haiti, 500 from the law enforcement, and also from the Air Force and incipient Navy. This effort doesn't imply the deployment of armed forces. This is a specialized support in training and capacity building, completely consistent with Pillar 1 of the Haiti Roadmap for Stability and Peace Restoration. In terms of food security and agricultural development, Colombia has also provided full support in the areas of agro-business development, as well as developing seeds for local climate, working with the National Center for Training, SENA, AgroSabia, SIAT, and the Public University of Córdoba, with funding provided by the Presidential Agency of Colombia. These initiatives, supported by the MOU between the ministries of agriculture of both countries, are directly aligned with Pillar 5 of the roadmap relating to economic development and sustainable development that facilitates agricultural and rural development, as well as youth development and food security. We add to that food support, including a $300,000 grant, as well as providing support in terms of land connectivity. Mr. Chairman, the opening of the Colombian embassy in Port-au-Prince also constitutes a strategic step undertaken by President Petro that reasserts our commitment to Haiti and the spirit of solidarity. This reflects the willingness of my government to follow closely the presidential transition team to energize the bilateral support and providing new efforts for regional stability. Colombia fully supports the call for a conference of donors proposed by the IDB and reiterates its willingness to implement products and initiatives in South cooperation. We also support political dialogue and the organization of elections, working with the OAS in coordination with its authorities. And Finally, Colombia proposes to articulate the components of the Colombia-Haiti work plan with the 5 pillars of the roadmap, as including the implementation and direct support of these efforts that are at bilateral level. We also like to congratulate Secretary General Ramdin, and we hope to get concrete proposals relating to funding, the administration of resources, and the operational structure of the mission so that it can be financially sustainable in accordance with the organization's mandate. And we're confident that through a coordinated effort by the member states and its international partners, we'll be able to respond to the call by to the Haitian people and provide that sustainable and development and security. Secretary General, we clearly understand your significant concerns for launching these efforts to get these young people outside of that circle of crime. Colombia has already experienced that. Unfortunately, we still see an export of hired killers and guns. That's a legacy from many years back. And we would hope that we're able to launch and replicate our youth support to keep them out of crime. And we're more than happy to support you at every level, Secretary General. Thank you. And now I invite the Bahamas to take the floor.
Thank you, Chair. The Bahamas joins those commending the Secretary General and the wider Secretariat for the ongoing work to develop the roadmap for OAS support for Haiti and the development of a dashboard as a monitoring and accountability tool. We believe that the OAS, as the premier multilateral forum for the Americas, has an obligation and responsibility to act in support of our brothers and sisters in Haiti, a people who have contributed greatly to the historical advancement of liberty throughout the region and hemisphere, and who today deserve the same rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness that we all do. We also know that in order for the OAS, an organization currently in the midst of a liquidity crisis, to make a tangible impact and scale efforts in Haiti, there is a real need for donation of more resources, both material and in kind. We are grateful that the OAS has prioritized advocating for international cooperation, and we reiterate our belief that for any solutions in Haiti to be durable, they must be developed in full partnership with and with the concurrence of Haiti. We further underscore the work that CARICOM and the Eminent Persons Group have and continue to do in support of ameliorating the situation in Haiti, and we see these regional entities as important partners for the work ahead. The Bahamas believes that a sustainable Haiti-led solution hinges on improving Haiti's capacity to deliver public and citizen security, notably through supporting the multinational security support mission and strengthening the Haitian National Police. The Bahamas remains committed to supporting the MSS through our deployment of Royal Bahamas Defense Force personnel, and we are currently finalizing plans to be a lead partner for targeted capacity building initiatives for Haiti in collaboration with the UN Office of Drug and Crime, particularly in maritime training to enhance Haitian capacity for small boat law enforcement operations, thereby bolstering Haitian and regional security. We know that facilitation of technical assistance and capacity and confidence building initiatives are among the comparative advantages of the OAS. And we believe that a tangible way that the OAS would be able to scale up support for Haiti could be to facilitate the coordination of a fast-track recruitment and training initiative done in collaboration with interested OAS member states, which should have an attendant emergency funding mechanism. Here we note the maritime training support that the Bahamas is looking to provide, and that Colombia has outlined in its plans to provide training and support as examples of components of broader, targeted technical assistance that can be coordinated. We believe that such an initiative could allow the OAS to effectively assist with addressing the critical need for immediate and longer-term manpower, professional development, and sustainable funding for stabilization of security in Haiti. The Bahamas looks forward to the continuation of the consultative approach that the Secretariat has taken with respect to the development of the roadmap for Haiti, and we agree with the Secretary General that the development of the roadmap must be an iterative and living process, requiring engagement with member states and reporting on the outcomes along the way. We look forward to this process generating proposals for effective and innovative ways for the OAS to play an even more tangible role in Haiti that addresses both the current crisis through emergency response and the longer-term needs as a part of a sustainability strategy. In this vein, the permanent mission will be shortly submitting concrete proposals for initiatives aimed at fostering progress towards an environment in Haiti conducive to holding peaceful elections, which we hope can be given consideration. The government of the Bahamas remains committed to collaborating with Haiti, the OAS, and other member states and partners to help foster international cooperation to support the restoration of law and order, revitalization of democratic institutions, and sustained advancement of socioeconomic development in Haiti. Thank you, Chair.
Merci.
Thank you, Bahamas. I now invite Mexico to take the floor. Thank you, Chair. The delegation of Mexico recognizes and also supports the efforts of the Secretary General in the development of the Haitian-led roadmap, as well as opening a dialogue that have allowed member states to provide their remarks to strengthen the document. We highly appreciate and value this. Mexico has already formulated comments where it agrees on the importance of reestablishing security to create the conditions that are conducive to move forward in strengthening the rule of law, as well as holding elections and facilitating humanitarian assistance and institutional rebuilding efforts. It's also expressed the need to clearly delineate the jurisdiction of the organizations as well as the responsibilities, since the OAS does not have the mandate or operational capacities or legal authority in order to build tactical infrastructure or to undertake deployments with law enforcement agencies. We also support the willingness of the Secretary General to analyze and incorporate our proposals. Mexico also has reminded everyone that it's the UN that has a specific mandate in the area of international peace and security, as well as the technical and logistical capacities that are necessary. Also reminding us that Resolution 1699 of 2023 of the Security Council has urged the OAS to provide multinational support, but was not formally authorized to provide for operational or logistical efforts. That's why we have recommended that the roadmap establish explicitly the leadership of the UN in this area, and that the OAS actions complement and be aligned with their authorities in those areas where it can provide value added, and that thereby avoiding duplication of efforts or overlaps with other regional and international stakeholders. We've noted that the document needs to clearly define the role of the Haitian Armed Forces and propose a roadmap for its strengthening. And we have suggested include that by identifying how the OAS and the member states could potentially provide their professionalism within the institutional mandates in order to strengthen the national capacities of Haiti and establish a basis for sustainability. In terms of the language proposed, we decided to substitute armed groups with armed gangs, which is aligned with the terminology used in Resolution 3039 of the OAS General Assembly, with the aim of avoiding confusions with figures in international law that is applied to armed conflict. Another point that needs to be included more explicitly in the diagnostic study is the impact of illicit arms trafficking, given that this phenomenon undermines seriously the rule of law and has socioeconomic and humanitarian consequences that are profound. That is how the UN Security Council considered it in its resolution 2653 in 2022. And we suggest that the roadmap include that and clearly define the specific contributions made by the OAS, specifically through the implementation of the Inter-American Convention against the manufacturing and trafficking of arms, firearms, explosives, munitions, and other materials known as CIFTA. Mexico has suggested that the document reflect clearly that the leadership of the efforts need to fall onto Haiti and that any political mechanism needs to respond to the priorities and needs expressed by the authorities and international stakeholders, including those included in the political agreement of April 2024. Chair, Mexico has supported constantly Haiti in its efforts to recover its stability and reinforce its institutions. My country believes that the value added of the OAS is in facilitating political dialogue, closely following institutional processes, and channel technical hemispheric support in areas that are compatible with their mandates, establishing the basis for the development of Haiti. We suggest that we continue to participate in a constructive manner in those multilateral and bilateral efforts consistent with our foreign policy and constitutional principles, respecting Haiti's sovereignty and within the framework of each international organization's jurisdictions. And we're thankful for the dialogue and the willingness by the Secretary General and his personal commitment to ensure that the OAS will join in the efforts. Thank you, Mexico. I now offer the floor to Bolivia. Thank you, Chair. The plurinational state of Bolivia, we first of all would like to commend the Secretary General and all the efforts undertaken in support of Haiti. We know that on July 24th, and the document that was a significant contribution to guide the collective efforts in support of the Haitian people. We recognize the Secretary General, Albert Rambin, for all his efforts and personal dedication to this very important issue that is affecting mankind at every level. It's been a long time since we haven't seen such specific and objective efforts in this organization on a nation that requires the joint support and efforts of the entire international community, in particular the inter-American community. Chair, our country would also like to agree and support that these operational efforts that require the deployment of the use of force that are necessary always need to be addressed within the framework of the UN and its agencies in strict compliance with multilateralism and international law. And then we look at the other capacity, which does not impede the other capacities of the organization to conduct follow-ups. We also agree that the Organization of American States can undertake a vital role in the institutional reforms that are required in Haiti, an area where the organization has broad experience and expertise. The OAS can also make a significant support to the elections processes so that we can renew and elections of positions next year after the transition government has left office. Over the last few decades, recurrent crises have affected Haiti, and this could be attributed to a constitutional political structure that does not allow for normal development of a country politically and juridically organized. Perhaps a two-level executive branch that shares responsibilities between a prime minister and a president could lead to duality and avoid frictions that throughout the country, throughout the region, we've seen recurrent crises. Our nations also need to envision those political systems that will avoid conflicts as well as complex vacancies with impacts on the nation's capacity and operational resources. Bolivia believes that in respect of the self-determination of Haiti, with that spirit, we can work with the Organization of American States to generate the conditions that are conducive so that this nation can continue an open dialogue and discussion on the constitutional issues in a broad and inclusive manner in order to transition toward a system that is well defined, that is also useful to the needs of the Haitian people. Chair, it's also important that the Haitian people not feel that they are neglected or alone in this effort. This nation always needs to assume that the inter-American community is always ready to support and cooperate in a determined effort to benefit it. So the roadmap proposed by this General Secretariat that includes interoperationality or interoperativity that has never been so supportive represents the light at the end of the tunnel that the Haitian people so desire, as well as the international community. Bolivia reiterates its commitment that strengthening the legal framework, the continuous training of operational staff, and effective international cooperation always applied with the criteria for respect of self-determination of nations. These are essential ingredients to address the conflicts faced by our region. Bolivia would like to reiterate once again its solidarity and support to the Haitian people, and again we commend this institutional effort. The institution of the rule of law and the full exercise of democratic principles need to be reestablished with the support of all of us. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Bolivia. Costa Rica has the floor. Thank you, Chair. Ambassador Mirta de Sume, as well as representatives of the permanent mission of Haiti at the OAS, permanent representatives, observers, Secretary General, Assistant Secretary General, delegates, good morning. Costa Rica wishes to begin this statement by reaffirming once again its firm solidarity with the Haitian people, whose resilience in the face of a prolonged and multidimensional crisis deserves not only our admiration, but also our active commitment. We welcome the presentation of this Haitian-led roadmap promoted by the OAS, General Secretariat Ramdin, as a timely and strategic contribution to ordering the regional response and international response to one of the most serious crises faced in the hemisphere. The proposal, structured in 5 pillars, sets out a comprehensive vision that ranges from security, stabilization, to sustainable economic development, going through democratic governance, humanitarian response, and institutional strengthening. We especially appreciate the fact that respect for human rights and the protection of the most vulnerable groups, including women, children, and displaced persons, are highlighted as cross-cutting axes of hemispheric actions. Costa Rica fully shares the call to act in a coordinated manner with the Haitian leadership, but also with a firm and consistent accompaniment by this organization. In this regard, we wish to highlight some specific elements that we consider to be essential. First, the need to establish a clear, transparent financial mechanism with a robust governance that in turn ensures that resources effectively reach the people and communities that need them most, and that in turn generates verifiable results in terms of security, institutionality, and well-being. Second, to ensure real and effective coordination with the UN and with other key actors in full abeyance by the mandates of this organization as well as other key actors in an effort to avoid duplication, fragmentation, and fatigue in the realm of international cooperation. And thirdly, to define precisely how the various Haitian institutions, including civil society, academia, and community leaders, how they will be implemented or integrated into the implementation process, thus strengthening the legitimacy of the process and local ownership. Ownership, which is so necessary and has been reiterated several times today. Costa Rica recognizes the value of today's efforts of Secretary General Randin and his team in the fulfillment and implementation of this very important mandate that we're addressing today. Secretary General, we also would like to mention that there are lessons learned in terms of international cooperation, and that it's important that these lessons learned also be reflected in the efforts by this organization so that we avoid repeating mistakes to make sure that the roadmap will be successful and reflect that success that we all so desire. Thank you, Costa Rica. I now offer the floor to the Dominican Republic. Thank you, Chair of the Permanent Council, Secretary General, Assistant Secretary General, permanent representatives, permanent observers. The delegation of the Dominican Republic also would like to commend the presentation of the roadmap presented by the Secretary General, Albert Randin, and we recognize the vision and commitment to address in a comprehensive manner the complex, multidimensional crises that the Haitian people are faced with. The Dominican Republic supports all of the actions aimed at achieving the well-being of the Haitian people that will in turn lead to stabilization, institutional recovery, and sustainable development. So in that regard, the Dominican delegation would also like to assign specific priority to the security pillar, given the security challenges faced by Haiti. And the roadmap should establish a balance between the various pillars that we hope to achieve and address. To ensure the security of the Haitian community is an indispensable basis for development, and it's essential that we clearly delineate the role of the OAS regarding the efforts that in the future the UN in particular in the area of institutional and political strengthening be addressed clearly so that we avoid a duplication of effort, and that way we can provide complementary efforts. The Dominican government also assigns top priority to the efforts undertaken by the UN in order to establish a hybrid mission under the model proposed by the Secretary General, Antonio Gutierrez, with sustainable and sufficient economic support. Only that way can we ensure a coordinated, effective, and long-lasting international support to benefit the Haitian people. This delegation also believes that it's essential that the roadmap clearly define the funding sources that will make the implementation possible and in turn ensure the viability and effectiveness of this effort. And if we look at the UN Trust Fund for Haiti, that up to the present has only been able to collect approximately $116 million, evidence that the challenge of mobilizing resources is real, and this could compromise the operational effectiveness and results of this ambitious initiative if we don't establish sustainable and specific resource collection efforts. We recognize the, for example, the EPG group with CARICOM working in these efforts through dialogue, and we believe that the OAS, because of its experiences in institutional democracy, could play a constructive role supporting the various initiatives led by CARICOM to achieve a political consensus that will ultimately lead to stability in Haiti. And we highlight the active role of Canada and the ECOSOC and the UN Security Council, as well as the actions and efforts that have been undertaken by the governments of Guyana and Panama.
As non-permanent members of this council, to keep the attention on Haiti in this forum, we would also like to recognize and express our value for the various contributions of member states to support the multinational support mission for Haiti, the MSS, like Canada, Belize, Bahamas, El Salvador, Guatemala, by sending military forces and Mexico, offering specialized training for Haitian military people, strengthening the operative capability of the MSS and also reflecting the spirit of regional solidarity. To wrap up, then, the Dominican Republic would like to reiterate its commitment to continue to work in a fruitful way with all member states, international organizations, and other sub-regional stakeholders to be successful when it comes to recuperation and Haitian recovery. We truly believe that with effective coordination, political will, and a focus centered on the true priorities of the Haitian people, we will be able to transform the difficulties in real opportunities for the future of this country. We reaffirm the ongoing decided support of the Dominican Republic so that Haiti is more safe, peaceful, and prosperous. We will never tire until we get there. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dominican Republic. I should like to give the floor now to Brazil. Brazil has the floor. Mr. Chairman, Secretary General, Brazil truly appreciates the document towards a Haitian-led roadmap, and we recognize the efforts to consolidate and to put into action in the hemisphere all of this support for Haitian people. Brazil truly values this contribution and would like to express its general support to the process underway. We share the viewpoint that the responses to the Haitian crisis should be led by Haitians themselves in strict compliance with CARICOM and full respect for human rights. The document puts forward and moves in that direction when it speaks to emergency stabilization measures with reconstruction institutional initiatives and socioeconomic development for the long run. We reiterate our understanding, referring to the central role of the Organization of the United Nations when it comes to peace and security. The Security Council has an exclusive mandate to authorize the use of force and leadership on the ground with the MSS, the Multinational Mission for Security Support, organized by that body. In this regard, then, we understand that it's the OAS's responsibility to offer political and technical support to the Haitian authorities and the MSS without taking on executive functions or logistical functions that don't tally with its mandate. The logistic support, as we have in the document, speaks to a very cautious approach so as to not undermine the competence of the UN. Brazil reiterates its willingness to cooperate with efforts for Haiti, the establishment of operational bases that should respect Haitian leadership and the role of the MSS when it comes to operations. The OAS's contribution should be limited to support for these kinds of activities. In the political institutional arena, we commend the emphasis on strengthening electoral administration and management, civil registry, with an OAS observation mission in future elections. We also truly appreciate the inclusion of other components for the transition with reconciliation measures, reparation, and accountability, which will be crucial to overcome the trauma of the current crisis. In terms of development, we reiterate that Brazil has a long career of cooperation with Brazil in areas such as education, health, police training, and continues committed with solutions for these efforts. And then finally, with regards to governance, we would like to remember that operative paragraph 2 of Resolution 3039 from the last General Assembly designs the Permanent Council as the body responsible for monitoring implementation thereof. Mr. Chairman, Secretary General, Brazil reiterates its total willingness to cooperate with the efforts to support Haiti. We truly appreciate this opportunity to continue maturing the ideas presented. and illuminating quite clearly the role of the OAS and thus consolidating the map of the route that will be effective, legitimate, and rooted in multilateralism. Thank you very much.
Merci, le Brésil.
Thank you very much, Brazil. Canada, you have the floor. Thank you very much. We would like to thank all delegations and the Secretary General. Mr. Chairman, Canada would like to say it appreciates the efforts of the Secretary General to join Haiti. This roadmap for Haiti moves toward reconstruction with the group of Haiti and the Secretary General and the organization with looking at new attention on Haiti. Canada believes that with these member states, we all have a very important role to play to solving the crisis in Haiti. In English.
Observations. First and foremost, Canada is pleased to see that the roadmap recognizes ongoing efforts by CARICOM, the multinational security support mission, the United Nations, and specialized agencies, inter-American institutions, and other important partners. OAS efforts should complement and align with and not duplicate the rapid conflict impact assessment led by the World Bank, the UN, the EU, and the Inter-American Development Bank, and the medium-term recovery plan requested by Haitian authorities and led by the IDB with involvement from the World Bank, the UN, and the EU. Pillar 2 and Pillar 3 of the roadmap are essentially well-designed, coherent, and reflect the OAS vast expertise and the added value it can bring in terms of support towards electoral preparations and process and political transition. Canada also agrees with the roadmap's overall objective, which focuses on prioritizing Haitian ownership and balancing urgent needs with longer-term reforms. In Canada's view, Mr. Chair, the OAS should prioritize what it can do in the short and medium term to respond to critical needs in Haiti, specifically security needs and urgent logistical and administrative support to the MSSM. The roadmap should also clearly identify what the OAS will contribute in terms of tools, resources, and experience. It would be helpful to have greater clarity on the intended use of the proposed budget, as well as on the mechanisms for mobilizing the allocated funds. For example, the Secure Haiti Fund could be leveraged to facilitate OAS and UN support. Canada would also recommend greater emphasis in the roadmap on tackling impunity and corruption in order to improve security and stability. In this regard, Mr. Chair, we would like to recommend the Secretariat to refer back to the 2025 General Assembly resolution, which calls for a meeting of Justice Ministers, or REMJAM, to use existing tools such as MESISIC as a first step to look at the situation of impunity and corruption in Haiti. Mr. Chair, the roadmap could also benefit from detailing potential roles of OAS member states in addressing the crisis in Haiti. Finally, it will be important for the roadmap to establish clear benchmarks, but to remain flexible and adaptable to a very fluid environment. For example, the OAS role regarding security will depend to some extent on how the UN's role in Haiti is defined by the UN Security Council and whether a UN support office or other type of UN mission is authorized. Of course, we have shared our comments, our detailed comments with the Secretariat, and we have received the assurance that some of these comments have been already incorporated and will be incorporated in the next iteration of the roadmap, and we thank the Secretariat for that. In closing, Canada welcomes the OAS roadmap for Haiti as it presents an opportunity for the OAS and its member states to engage constructively on how we can translate political will into meaningful action and concrete results for Haitians. And of course, it goes without saying that this should be done in close consultation with the government of Haiti and Haiti in the driver's seat. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Merci, le Canada.
Thank you very much, Canada. Uruguay, you have the floor. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Secretary General Uruguay truly appreciates the efforts made by the Secretary General and the presentation and drafting this roadmap, and also the open dialogue with the various regional groups and the state's parties to improve or clarify various points in this roadmap. We share the principles that guide the aforementioned roadmap, and the possibility of coming up with a coordinated, all-encompassing response with regards to the situation in our dearly beloved Haiti. We also truly value the fact that one recognizes the leadership granted to Haiti in the proposal and the implementation, as well as the different areas for coordination that have already been mentioned. Having said that, and moving on to some specific points, reacting to the presentation made by the Secretary General, as has already been said by various delegations, we do understand that the security mandate, precisely accorded by the United Nations, so along that line, then we understand, and to a certain extent, the Secretary General said this, but this would be a contribution, and it would be to specifically mention the areas for coordination and logistics that are being proposed to assist in strengthening the MSS. And we feel that that is a point to be raised for the next presentation, that is to a certain extent clarify for us. And then we understand the figures that were presented, which today would be asking for some $10 million for cooperation to set up a special OAS mission. In that pool of looks for cooperation or asks for cooperation for Haiti during the stabilization period, that is one point. But along that same vein, we also understand that it would be very helpful for delegations to hear more granular details about the 10 million for the special mission and grosso modo how the budget will be distributed and the accountability mechanism that we feel is crucial. We cannot have any kind of failure when it comes to that. Now, I think it's really essential for credibility and cooperation and for OAS's participation when it comes to the response. So I would like to commend that the Inter-American Commission of Human Rights also plays a very important role in the cross-cutting situation when it comes to the different structures, and for us as well, following what the Secretary General said and the delegation of Haiti said, 2 million children, girls and boys, are affected by the children. 500,000 of them are displaced. This is an incredible figure. And we also think that it would be appropriate to have the participation of the Institute for Children and Adolescents. I think that we do have a possibility for them to participate here, and they should assist in the arena and with the things that are being developed. And now, in more bilateral issues, we could also, in keeping with what the Secretary General has asked for from the Oriental Republic of Uruguay, we can assist when it comes to education for the displaced children. We have a very robust system of virtual education. 100% of our children, boys and girls alike, not only have computers, but also have access to the internet, both in the educational areas in the remote, far-flung areas, as well as at home. So we feel that the plan is called Plan Cerebral in Uruguay. This could be a real tool for these 500 displaced children. Don't lose days of education. They can have education even when they cannot readily participate because they are displaced from their respective schools. They don't have what all children deserve. Now, fourth, and my last point, we also truly appreciate the pillar that is linked to the democratization and putting back institutions and moving back toward democratization of Haiti. And we also appreciate the OAS's participation. As has already been said, the OAS does have a lot to offer in terms of strengthening things and in terms of designing an electoral observation mission, which is very strong, and as far as concerning institutional reforms that are absolutely necessary. We go back to, once again, commend and congratulate the Secretary General for these efforts, and as we said earlier on, we're going to look at these contributions and put something in writing so that we can help out the Secretary General and we will continue to assist because we really feel that this is a priority. It's a very important one when it comes to building a consensus, as I said in my first set of comments. Thank you very much, Uruguay, and thanks again to Ambassador Lanza for this very meaty set of comments. Now I'd like to give the floor to Panama. Panama has the floor. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Secretary General, Assistant Secretary General, Ambassador of Haiti. I would like to begin by expressing on behalf of the government of the Republic of Panama our sincerest thanks to the Secretary General and his team for preparing this very strategic document entitled Towards a Roadmap for Stability and Peace, headed up by Haiti with the regional international support. The dedication and the efforts that have been made in this work reflect the capacity of the Secretary General to respond to one of the most urgent and complex challenges in our hemisphere. The multidimensional crisis that the Haitian people have to grapple with is what we're talking about, and our delegation recognizes this roadmap is a political and operative framework which is crucial to strengthen international efforts. This revolves around 5 pillars: stabilization, construction of a political consensus, the electoral legitimacy, humanitarian response, and sustainable development. For each and every one of these pillars, we have the hope that millions of Haitians that today suffer violence, displacement, food insecurity, and severe limitations when it comes to basic access to basic services. Your Excellency, Mr. Quintero, has reiterated that solidarity with Haiti is a moral and political imperative. Panama understands that, as well as the international community has the collective support and mandate, we would like to reaffirm our commitment in a very specific way. We share with the Haitian people, the Caribbean and the Atlantic Basin, that the crises are not far flung, and that is why we are strongly committed to continue to support them both bilaterally as well as through the various multilateral mechanisms to reach a comprehensive, coherent response that respects Haitian leadership, that promotes human rights, and comes up with sustainable solutions over the long run. Mr. Chairman, in recognizing the magnitude of the violence that afflicts Haiti and the huge humanitarian challenges with more than 1.3 million internally displaced people are involved, and almost 5 million people have severe food insecurity, Panama would like to make a clarion call to member states and to international community to mobilize financial resources and technical resources as well. No country, not even the closest ones, should be alone in dealing with this challenge. There is a shared responsibility that we all have to take on, that it comes up with solidarity for tangible results for the Haitian people. To wrap up then, on behalf of the government of Panama, I would like to say it for the record, our full-fledged backing of the roadmap and the leadership of the Secretary General in this effort for implementation. Peace, stability, and development of Haiti are also sine qua non for security and the well-being of the entire region. Panama will be alongside Haiti. We will be there to accompany the efforts to recover the institutional framework, to reconstruct the social fabric, and to guarantee a future which is dignified for all of its people. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Haiti, Guatemala, you have the floor. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We recognize the work done by the Secretary General, Albert Ramdim, when it comes to presenting this draft towards a Haitian roadmap for stability and peace led up by Haiti and with international regional support. This proposal, in compliance with resolution of the General Assembly 3039, is a fundamental step in guiding the collective action of the organization and is a political and operative framework in close cooperation with Haitian authorities. These efforts are even more relevant in as much as they want to be aligned with the main strategic regional multilateral approaches that revolved around strategic common efforts. In this context, then, the active involvement coordinated by member states will be decisive so that this roadmap, based on the pillars of humanitarian assistance, security, legitimacy, electoral, and sustainable development, come up with tangible results for the Haitian people. Now, given this process, we truly appreciate the feedback meetings that the Secretary General has had with permanent representatives of the regional groups and other relevant actors. This has allowed us to broaden information on the implementation of the roadmap. And as such, we would like to look at some of the meetings with the United Nations. These are underway with CARICOM as well that reinforce strengthening and I underscore avoid duplicity when it comes to the necessary strength and the making governance more robust in Haiti. Mr. Chairman, in keeping with Guatemala's vocation as a promoter of peace that we had this year, we deployed a multinational force to support security in Haiti made up of 150 troops from Guatemala, including men and women. This contribution reflects our commitment with the urgent need to reestablish public order, and it is a key addition to move towards political and institutional recovery in the country. Guatemala reiterates its support to the Roadmap Initiative, and we identify within our own capacities other initiatives and national projects that can make a contribution when it comes to implementing these activities. For example, our experience in democratic dialogue processes as well as approval of peace maintenance actors are components that we find very valuable to make real this effort. And we would like to underscore the role that we played in the working group of the Permanent Council on Haiti since 2023. Here we presented our commitment and we provided support for the thematic groups of assistance when it comes to security, humanitarian assistance, strengthening of democracy, and electoral strengthening. We are fully aware that move towards stability in Haiti has generated humanitarian crises, economic and social crises as well, weakening their institutions and the quality of life of their population. And that is why we are convinced that only through collective work that is sustained over the long run can we make progress towards long-lasting peace. The roadmap is a key tool to fulfill that dream, and we have our commitment to continue the efforts for development and peace in Haiti. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Guatemala. Now, St. Kitts and Nevis has the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Secretary General Ramdeen, Assistant Secretary General Hill, Secretariat, excellent permanent representatives, and invaluable alternates, observer missions, all. My delegation welcomes Secretary General Ramdeen's update on the Haitian roadmap and looks forward to its continued development. We commend efforts in the OAS to prioritize the restabilization of security and peace in our fellow member state, recognizing that this organization, standing on its 4 pillars of democracy, human rights, multidimensional security, and integral development, is only as strong as its weakest link. St. Kitts and Nevis, therefore, is enthused about this process for what it represents. However, placing it within proper context, we understand that the cost of freedom can be extremely high, and we know that our forefathers, in many instances, have paid the ultimate price for freedom. Our very existence is a living testament to this. Then there is Haiti, where countless installments of currency, lost productivity, and blood never seem to be high enough a price to pay for the audacity of claiming that freedom against the odds. So, here we are, Chair. Having been mandated in Antigua and Barbuda to assist, we are now in the process of charting a roadmap that we hope will lead to the ever-elusive redemption, vindication, and ultimately complete freedom for Haiti. Chair, St. Kitts and Nevis supports the collective process in principle and believes that a Haitian-led initiative can be productive. However, we know that the road ahead, though charted by the map we are in the process of developing, will be a difficult one, but we must press on. We must press on to establish and maintain security for the state because we know that without security, nothing else can be achieved. We must press on to ensure that the work being done directly impacts the Haitian people in as short a time frame as possible. We must press on so that the 5 pillars we have agreed upon can actually accomplish the objectives and do not end up being just another wish list. St. Kitts and Nevis applauds the work of the coordinating group mechanism, the group of Friends of Haiti, the OAS Interdepartmental Working Group on Haiti, and all other parties working in the interest of bringing stability to Haiti. We believe, Chair, that this could be a viable framework within which all available resources can be acquired, mobilized, and channeled in the right direction to benefit our Haitian brothers and sisters and the hemisphere in general. May it please you, Chair.
Merci, St. Kitts and Nevis.
Thank you very much, St. Kitts and Nevis. Now, I should like to give the floor to Peru. Mr. Chairman, we truly appreciate the presentation of the document towards a roadmap for stability and peace headed up by Haiti with the regional and international support behind it. Today, presented by the Secretary General, Albert Ramdoun. We have taken due note of that presentation. Haiti is today going through one of the most critical episodes of security and governance that we have hitherto not seen in the hemisphere. Violence has erupted in the authority of the state and has affected the population very deeply that is grappling with insecurity, displacement, and critical limitations and access to basic services. This situation requires from us as a hemispheric community a solid, coordinated response. Aware of this reality, member states of the OAS will adopted on the 27th of June in Antigua and Barbuda a resolution that brings us together to propose concrete solutions to resolve the grave crisis in Haiti and strengthen regional and international cooperation, which is more effective. We truly appreciate the Secretary General's efforts that, given that mandate, has prepared in consultation with the government of Haiti this roadmap, which defines priorities and multidimensional security, humanitarian assistance, international consistency, and fair elections. For Peru, it is crucial to remember that, as the document says, constituting is the main priority objectives to build progress. Nothing can be done if we don't define this violence unleashed and we constitute public order.
However, security needs to also be long-lasting over time. That's why we need to focus our efforts to ensure institutional stability. So in that spirit of collective commitment, we reiterate our support to the nation of Haiti. Thank you, Peru. And now I offer the floor to Paraguay. Thank you, Chair. We would also like to, well, first of all, we're very appreciative of the roadmap for peace and stability in Haiti, which needs to be headed and led by Haiti. We know that peace is one of the key priorities of this organization, and the relevance of the OAS is going to be measured to a large extent by the level of success in this initiative. The plan submitted by the Secretary General is comprehensive and consistent, and just like everyone else, we hope that the plan is implemented successfully, that will ultimately lead to peace and the development of one of the member states within the organization. And also we commend the Secretary General that this will be implemented not only in material and financial results, but also in sharing capacities, expertise, and know-how that can be provided by each member state. We also share the comments and consultations already shared by Argentina regarding the funding and coordination of funds, areas that we consider to be of the utmost importance and that need to be clearly defined. And then finally, I would like to express our concern regarding the timetable established in the plan. We hope that this will be implemented within the time frame already proposed, in particular in the area of establishing security and reestablishing peace, which is indispensable for all of the subsequent steps. So it would be highly useful to have more information regarding how we envision to achieve in the short term proposed stabilization of security. Thank you very much, Chair. I'd like to thank Paraguay. And now, if there are no other member states that ask for the floor, I would now like to offer the floor to the permanent observer, starting with France. Thank you, Chair. Secretary General, Assistant Secretary General, ladies and gentlemen, permanent representatives, France is also appreciative and thanks the Secretary General for the presentation of this roadmap for Haiti, which implemented that these efforts that, just as with other organizations, we identify the needs to address the priorities for stabilization as well as prepare reforms, structural in the long and medium term reforms for the rebuilding of institutions. As you have already pointed out, the crisis faced by Haiti is it's the most serious crisis faced in the Americas right now. France continues to be concerned about this situation with a rapid deterioration in security. And as a result, this has become a humanitarian crisis. This multidimensional crisis, which has strongly affected the region, requires the attention by the international community. We have taken note with a great deal of interest about the 5 pillars already established in the roadmap, as well as promoting the defense of human rights in that that cross-cutting access. Reestablishing security requires total priority that needs to supersede the other aspects of the roadmap. The establishment of security, without that, we will not be able to make the transition and the strengthening of institutional organizations as well as the rule of law. This is going to be a priority in order to put an end to the it's going to be fundamental in order to implement the support that will address so many people. And it's also, we believe that the roadmap needs to be flexible and adaptable. And we know that the situation on the ground is constantly changing. So we know that, and we agree with your proposal to implement these mechanisms. And France is also very satisfied by the efforts, the decisive efforts with the Haitian authorities are also supporting to move forward with this transition. It is fundamental that we have the coordinated efforts with international as well as multilateral organizations' efforts. The international organizations that maintain the presence on the ground and the support to the consistency of the international aid for Haiti and maximize complementary efforts working in coordination with BIMU, also with the EPG of CARICOM and other organizations. We're also pleased to see the convergence of efforts that are playing a key role. All of these initiatives relating to peace and international security, in particular, the eventual peacekeeping operations, need to come directly from the UN and the Security Council. France supports the transformation of the MSS in peacekeeping, and we also know that there needs to be responsibility over the efforts. The MSS will have the indispensable capacities in order to implement its mandate of stabilizing the situation. France, which is the first country in 2023 to contributing in the implementation of MSS, and we encourage and we continue to encourage our other members working, and today more than ever we need to support that. And for 6 months after the report from the UN Secretary General, the Secretary urgency needs more support than ever. And in conclusion, allow me to mention that France is fully committed to supporting Haiti and its population, given the crisis the country is facing. And all of this requires collective measures and, in particular, in supporting the Haitian authorities and the national security forces in the struggle against criminal gangs and corruption in order to reestablish peace, stability, and democracy in Haiti. The third bilateral agreement with Canada, third money supplier together with U.S. and Canada in providing this support. This support has allowed us to provide food and security support, and at the same time, the programming of 2025 is 9 million, and we also have supplementary credits and loans that will be provided. Secretary General, I would like to again commend your initiatives. And this is we know that we have the first meeting that took place of the Friends of Haiti, and France would very much like to participate in the next meeting of the Friends of Haiti. Thank you, France. And now we offer the floor to the Holy See.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you, Chair. The delegation of the Holy See takes note of the document, a roadmap for stability and peace headed by Haiti with regional and international support presented by the Secretary General, His Excellency Albert Ramdin. And we also closely follow the various initiatives from the member states, the permanent observer that preceded us. The roadmap that was just presented to the Permanent Council attempts to respond to the dramatic and profound situation that Haiti is experiencing with both socio-political as well as humanitarian initiatives that are characterized by the persistent insecurity, poverty, endemic poverty, as well as the violence committed by armed groups. Pope Leo XIV has said, and I quote, that the situation with the Haitian people is more and more desperate. We see continuous news reports of murders, violence, human trafficking, as well as kidnappings and forced displacement. We look at efforts to try to free the hostages, and we ask the international community to create the institutional social conditions that will in turn allow the Haitian people to live in peace, unquote. In the face of the multidimensional crisis faced by Haiti, the Holy See is pleased with the efforts undertaken by the General Secretariat of the OAS, and in particular the Secretary General himself, who has assumed the mandate of the last General Assembly held in Antigua and Barbuda in June, and focused on adopting urgently concrete solutions in order to resolve this serious security crisis, as well as institutional challenges in this Caribbean country involving the international community, as well as international relevant stakeholders. This mission is focused on mentioning that the Bishops' Conference on Haiti published on June 23rd a declaration on the current security crisis, as well as the draft document envisioned for 2025. And although we were very pleased to see some significant progress, the Bishops' Conference also identified some serious concern. The Holy See reiterates its close cooperation and support for the Haitian people, as well as efforts aimed at promoting peace and stability. To conclude, the Holy See ensures that we will follow closely the implementation of this document, and we want to let everyone know that we continue to support cooperation of efforts within its capacity to support the Haitian people. Thank you, Chair. Thank you to the Holy See. Now we offer the floor to Spain. Thank you, Chair. This mission, the Spanish mission, would like to also commend the Secretary General and congratulate him and his team for the document that we have before us today. The organization is prepared something that was really a priority and was crucial. And also, the Haitian crisis is at the center of the organization's current efforts. The diagnostic study is very accurate, looking at the issue with the open and spirit with an attempt to include all perspectives, and I think that's the right way to go. We totally agree with the proposals included, as well as the fundamentals, the principles, the strategic objectives, the lines of efforts that have been proposed. It's also important to try to present a view that unifies some of the fragmented and dispersed actions and perspectives from the various stakeholders, both within and outside government, and both within the multilateral level as well as those outside of the Western Hemisphere. We did not know, many didn't know what others were doing, and this could always lead to duplication of efforts. Obviously, stabilization and security is going to be the crucial first steps. There's no doubt about that. It's the most important step, probably the most difficult and challenging step. Despite the magnificent efforts undertaken by the mission, the MSS mission, it is just attempting to avoid that the deterioration in Haiti become even more of a massive scale issue. We need to use the material resources, human resources necessary, because it's only on that basis, as multiple speakers have already indicated today, it's only on that basis that we can continue to build on it. Humanitarian assistance, to begin with, is vital. The situation in Haiti has created a state of despair for most of the population, and we need to make sure that that humanitarian assistance reaches those people that require it as quickly and as effectively as possible. The other area has to do with democratic legitimacy, the issue of return to governance and institutional strengthening. This is another major challenge. In February 2026 is a key date, and hopefully that security and stabilization efforts will establish that, will chart that course so that we can lead to transparent elections with credibility in Haiti, although we know that currently it's seen as a very difficult objective to achieve. Spain, nevertheless, reasserts its commitment to continue to support the efforts in support of Haiti and its institutions, both here as well as in our role working in the Permanent Council and the working groups, as at various levels, multilateral levels within the UN, as well as in other international organizations where we have been actively involved recently. Thank you to Spain. Well, I'd now like to offer the floor once again to the Secretary General for some brief remarks. Secretary General.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you very much to all member states and permanent observers who have spoken for their input. There is clearly a sense of high commitment, but also a sense of understanding the urgency of the matter. I did want to say a few words, Mr. Chairman, just to clarify, but also to point out to a couple of urgent matters. First of all, we take note of all the statements made. We'll try to summarize them in a matrix in such a way that we can follow them up very well. The consultations with member states and observers will remain open as we go forward. We will discuss with the permanent mission of Haiti and other high-level officials from the Republic of Haiti a more structured mechanism of consultations, which will be just to make sure that we are on the same page, although I don't think there is any difference here. I also wanted to indicate that we must realize that no plan will be perfect at any point in time. At any point in time. We will need to start work at some point. A lot is happening already. But I think the Haitian people, when they listen to us, and many listen to us virtually, and also the Haitian diaspora and the Haitian civil society, do expect what happens next, because it cannot remain talks. So I take from this meeting that you are not only committed, but also committed to provide the necessary support in the different forms. As I mentioned earlier, resource mobilization plans, I cannot define where the resources will come from except for those who have already committed, and those where we're going to ask specific. For the rest, I'll be honest with you, I will not be able to comply with that if you do not indicate to us where you are willing to help as member states. It cuts both ways. So one country, two countries, three countries are not going to be able to carry this task. And that goes for coordination as well. It's not the OAS alone. But on the resource mobilization, we must make sure that there is commitment from the whole hemisphere in whatever form. And there will be enough to help. But I think we need that commitment. I have started talking to several foreign ministers specifically on this, with several missions on this. And I know that there is an interest, but it cannot remain by just asking for a resource mobilization strategy. The strategy is there to engage following this meeting. We will engage with every single mission. But then we need to, we expect that you will be prepared to tell us something as well. I'm very frank about this because, as I said at the beginning, if there are no resources, the best plan will not be successful. And we will need to have that commitment. I want to make clear as well that when we speak about Haitian-led, it's not only that we expect Haitian to be intimately involved in the decision-making process, but it's also the sovereignty which we respect of any government in the hemisphere, that we will not decide for the government. We know that in terms of government and governance, there is a process in place, but we'll respect that. That's why we're going to keep consulting with Haiti. I want to give you that commitment. So time is of the essence, and I hope that we can move on from here to the more implementation phase. I also want to mention that with regard to CARICOM's role, we have submitted, as I agreed with Prime Minister Holness, the CARICOM document a couple of weeks ago. Based on that, and we copied to the CARICOM Secretary General as well. The EPG has been part of the first coordination meeting which we had with the United Nations a couple of weeks ago virtually. The EPG has been invited, and they will be here next week to take part in the second meeting, face-to-face. So CARICOM is very much intimately involved in this process. We look forward to their contribution. We see a specific role for CARICOM. In terms of engagements with CARICOM heads and foreign ministers, I am ready to do that. But I think we have now the avenue with the EPG, and those discussions are going well. We will discuss this further with CARICOM, how we want to go about this. I also wanted to note that we will meet following this meeting with the Inter-American Specialized Agencies. Some of them have been mentioned, the IIN, SIM, but also the Inter-American Defense Board will be consulted to see in what way they can support the process. And it will continue going further. So many things will happen from now on. And I think I will end by accepting your commending words for the work done, but I only accept that in recognition of the people behind me who have been doing the work. So the applause should go to the team of the OAS that has been working day and night to make it happen here. So thank you very much, and we will continue. And I thank countries who have been very specific about starting the implementation process to the benefit of the Haitian people. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Merci, Monsieur le Secrétaire.
Thank you, Secretary General. The chair noticed that we have already acknowledged receipt of the document. The chair would also express its gratitude to the Secretary General and his team for their presentation and the work undertaken. And we also highlight the need to implement the mandates entrusted to the General Secretariat by the General Assembly in accordance with Resolution 3039. This is a process that continues moving forward. So, without any objections, it is decided.
In response to a request made by the delegation of Canada, we will proceed to consider the item entitled Rule of Law and Good Governance in the Americas, a strong role for the private sector. This agenda item builds on the work carried out by the OAS Voluntary Group for the follow-up on the Inter-American Democratic Charter, aiming to foster discussion among member states on the role that the private sector can play. In particular, the focus on measures to combat illicit financing of electoral campaigns across the Americas. For this purpose, we will hear from three panelists who will present the work of the Inter-American Dialogue's high-level working group on rule of law and good governance. The group seeks to promote greater private sector engagement in strengthening the rule of law in the region and has focused over the past year on regulating money in politics. The panelists will also share their personal experiences on the topic, drawing from their extensive and diverse professional backgrounds. To begin, I request the Secretariat to project the video intervention of Ms. Tamara Tamarchuk-Bronner, Director of the Peter B. Bell Rule of Law Program at the Inter-American Dialogue.
Muchas gracias a la misión de Canadá.
I'd like to thank the Canadian mission for this invitation to participate at this session of the Permanent Council. I'd also like to send greetings to the Secretary General and all of their excellencies. I am Tarachuk Bronner, and we look at three key areas: initiatives for addressing setbacks in the democratic process, also effective democratic measures, and the creation of a high-level working group that includes the business community that also helps to strengthen the rule of law. This is going to address all of the areas that we've been discussing. A strong rule of law supported by sound institutions is a fundamental basis for political stability, economic growth, and social development. A weak state rule of law perpetuates violence, crime, impunity, and also undermines public confidence in democratically elected leaders in being able to address the legitimate needs of the community. In most of the Latin American countries, there's a culture of respect for the rule of law, much less developed than the culture of corruption. It varies from country to country, but we are faced with a continuous erosion of the rules of democratic principles and institutions and a reduction in public opinion. Today, there are fewer and fewer countries governed democratically, and people are less and less likely to support these systems. The illegal contributions to political campaigns, this is one of the most frequently used for buying influence and corrupting public officials, and this is having an increasing greater and greater influence by criminal groups in bribing officials. There's a lot of increase in money, donations, and campaign contributions are more visible, but what makes the process complex is in many of these exchanges that take place in the shadows. There's a diverse reality in the region, but there are common patterns in Latin America and the Caribbean. We see institutional standards development that prohibit the amount of money that can be, or money and the way it's contributed to campaigns. And countries don't have the necessary financial and technology resources to police these rules and procedures. Sometimes it's the enforcement that's the hardest thing to achieve. And sporadically, we see some media involved when there's a scandal that breaks out. So we have a common debt throughout our region, and if we're not able to raise an awareness about these topics, then it's going to be very difficult to achieve progress. Only a well-developed and educated population will be able to support democratic legitimacy and punish those who are involved in these wrongdoings. And only that way we can strengthen institutional control. The private sector is not an external observer. It's one of the main parties affected and a unit for transformation, because illegal actors create great distortions. Organized crime represents a direct physical threat to business communities, and there's legitimacy on the part of the business community to restore legal predictability and certainty. An economy of growth requires institutionality that is equal before the law, and it cannot be seen as an unlimited resource for political parties. That creates uncertainty. The strengthening of criminal groups will increasingly support illicit activities that are now dependent on the support of these, recognizing that there are business leaders that benefit from this lack of transparency and have no interest in changing the status quo. Despite that, the working group efforts that includes 30 leaders from 15 countries in the region proposes that the private sector committed with the rule of law, it play a leadership role in promoting this social dialogue, where we need to have the business community, the political, civil society, and other stakeholders, and that the fact that we have members of these communities are a reflection of that priority. The OAS can institutionalize regional standards in these areas, technical levels that create paths to strengthening principles that also contribute to dialogue on best practices, recommendations that place the focus on the public dialogue for each country, starting with a permanent council or General Assembly resolution that recognizes this issue would be an excellent first step. And for this discussion and dialogue, we can look at 4 guiding principles. First, the freedom of expression and free association. And this is a way for the society to participate and commit itself. We need to protect the rights of citizens to express themselves politically. This needs to be a key component of all institutional efforts. Secondly, equity in competition, to reduce asymmetries in access to resources, to make sure that there are minimum ground rules and provide that pluralism, that citizens have access to resources cannot be a determining factor in undertaking a minimally reasonable political campaign to share their ideas. Traceability and effective oversight. These organizations need to have the technology and human resources. They need to make sure they identify who's funding what, ensuring autonomy of these entities, as well as the transparency of these positions, elected positions. And also, we need to have efforts that support free and independent journalism, access to information with tools to ensure that those legal mechanisms. To conclude, there are no institutional reforms or electoral reforms that can be self-sustaining if we tolerate these other setbacks. So active citizens are going to be indispensable for the specific interests and criminal organizations not be involved in political decision making. We need to have public and private leaders to assume the costs of defending the integrity of the democratic institution. The agenda is not just technical, it's also institutional. Thank you very much.
Intervention. If I may just make a parenthesis, this morning's meetings and deliberations on the Haiti roadmap obviously took a substantive amount of time due to the seriousness and importance of the matter. As a result, we are probably not going to be able to finish this agenda within the normal expected regular meeting timelines, that is by 2 p.m. So what I would propose is that after the panel completes its presentations, and I thank the panel for their patience waiting for us, that we make a pause for lunch and that we come back at 2:30 p.m. in this room to continue and complete the agenda, starting off with national interventions. So if there's no objection, that's the way I plan on proceeding. And I will now continue with this panel. I am pleased now to pass the floor to Mr. Aran Laranin, former Senator and former Minister of Justice and Human Rights for Chile. Mr. Laranin, thank you for your patience. Welcome to the OAS Permanent Council. The floor is yours.
Señor presidente.
Sí, senador.
Welcome, Senator. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I would like to greet the Secretary General and the ambassadors and everybody who's attending this meeting. I truly appreciate this opportunity to also speak about this topic, and that was introduced by Mrs. Sharachuk. Now, we are living through moments, times, given the poor perception and the deterioration of democracy and the rule of law. As you all know, we're living through this in our region. And of course, this makes it difficult to live in peace and live side by side. This is due in part to the result of governments that haven't been effective. And people know this, but even more grave is the citizens' misgivings or doubt with regard to the integrity of the system, the lack of transparency, or the impact that money has in politics. And all of this contributes to the perception and the views in the public arena. The aspect of effectiveness of democracy, we have to have an effort, but we have to uphold these results, particularly in public security, where the struggle has not yet been won, and particularly in economic development, because there is poverty and inequality that still exists, and all of this makes alternatives which are not necessarily the most healthy for democracy, and this thus obliges us to act. And in terms of public integrity, it's very relevant to look at generating powerful legislation to deal with the situation. And this has been done. A lot has been done. There's legislation in our countries. There's access to information. There's accountability. And there's lobbying and representation of interests. A lot has been done, but not everything has been done. And of course, the issue of public financing of electoral campaigns is a wall between policies and money, and that is still pending. And a lot of legislation is not duly applied. And there are model laws and there are other kinds of routes. But unfortunately, this has not been enough to ensure good results. I truly believe that part of the problem, and the situation that we haven't really confirmed this, is that there's an access of citizens' authority, a public and fiscal authority, and that's why South American dialogues have looked for another axis, the public-private axis, as a way to integrate in this struggle towards true democracy and the rule of law all these stakeholders, these social stakeholders that are relevant. And we're talking about the private sector and common ordinary people. The private sector is key because it's not just the motor of economic growth, but it's the sector that can help us to move ahead in the entire system. But it does require political stability and the rule of law. Nobody is going to work where we've got enemy, where there's insecurity. Nobody can function in that kind of thing. This is notwithstanding the public and private are different spheres. Each one has its own responsibility, but there is cooperation that we have to have that can strengthen and lead to good results. And that's what we've been working on. And there are possibilities for success in this arena. Now, of course, clearly understanding separation and the objectives or responsibility of each, but these are partners in the public-private entity. The second stakeholder revolves around people, but because even thinking about citizens and the citizens authority, this is a public vertical authority, and including ordinary citizens, they have to be part of the process. If there's no social consensus, there's not going to be any cultural change, and we have to have a culture of transparency, a culture, I'm sorry, says the speaker, a culture of experiences to ensure that these changes are embedded in our societies. They get rooted, and these two factors have been absent, and that's why we have to incorporate them. And we also have to bear in mind another factor, which is also crucial in everything that's happening. And this is there's been a failure in public security, and we have to look at the expansion of something new, organized crime that has penetrated our societies, and perhaps we don't realize the power that it has, but when the magma appears, it engulfs everybody. So in this regard, organized crime, which is not just geographic, it's all of the activities that take place in the amongst people, the gangs and so on, because in criminal morphology, crime today is done in an associated way with groups. This is not individual. And these are some of the objectives of organized crime. One, to weaken the institutions of the criminal system. It happens to the prosecutors, or it happens in the jails, and the jails are the centers where these things are managed. And then we have the other main objective of organized crime, which is to go after money, and that is corruption and extortion in particular are the main instruments that are being used to get at control. So that when we talk about strengthening democracy and ensure our rule of law, we have to rethink how we're going to deal with these situations. And it's crucial to have an incorporation of the private sector and the public debate where people participate in the consensuses that have to be arrived at. This is a cultural change, and it's absolutely imperative. The private sector oftentimes seems to be in conflict with the public sector, but actually the public-private partnership is crucial. It goes beyond borders, and we can only get to the objectives which we wouldn't otherwise unless we do it with partnerships. The last General Assembly in Antigua had messaging with an evaluation, very helpful, but it doesn't have an impact. We have to renew this agenda. We have to reposition what can and should be done, because we feel it's imperative to have posts that bring in citizens so that we can get out of rule of law and governance not working. So we have had privileged situations, but this makes us think that these changes are actually possible. The agenda can promote very dynamically a way forward and support our governments, and there is the possibility to have this axis.
To conclude this panel, it is my pleasure to offer the floor to Mr. Oscar Caipo. Mr. Caipo serves as Director for Latin America at the MACE Group, Chair of the Board of Perú Sostenible, and former President of the Confederación Nacional de Instituciones Empresariales Privadas of Peru. Mr. Caipo, welcome to the OAS Permanent Council. You have the floor. Dear colleagues, we understand there's a technical issue which suggests that perhaps it would be better for us to take our pause here now, and then when we come back at 2:30, hear from the final panelist. By then we will hopefully have fixed our technical issue, and then take national interventions and complete the rest of the agenda that we have before us. If that's agreeable, I wish you all a very pleasant break and lunch, and we will see you at 2:30 sharp here in this room, 2:30 p.m. Thank you.